now resuming the conference. It's day one of sixth RASTA PIDE conference, and we are going to start session two, which is about human capital and social outcomes. Okay, ji, we are going to have presentations from five distinguished research teams, including Waqas Mahmood Saab from the Islamia University of Bahawalpur, then Albina Sabah Idris from Government College University, Lahore, and then Sidra Irfan from NUST University, Islamabad. And then we will have a presentation by Ejaz Ahmed from University of Glasgow, UK. And then finally, we will hear from Umme Ruman Sayed from National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad. The discussant for this technical session is Dr. Hafiz Jamali. He's the Director General at the Balochistan Civil Service Academy, Quetta. So Jamali Saab will join us shortly. He's stuck in traffic. But meanwhile, Shafat will moderate the session and we will all hear. Shafat, please invite Kareem one by one.
Thank you. And let's start with the first presenter, Waqas Mahmood Saab from the University of Bahawalpur, Islamia University of Bahawalpur. And they will be presenting on modernizing digital inclusive education for hearing impaired learners in Pakistan. Waqas Mahmood Saab.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Waqas Mahmood, Assistant Professor, Department of Educational Training, Faculty of Education at the Islamic University of Bahawalpur, Pakistan. The title of my research is The Modernizing Digital Inclusive Education for Hearing Impaired Learners, Empowering Students with Entrepreneurial and Future-Ready Skills in Pakistan. These are my team members. The research background in Pakistan, the socio-economic challenges faced by the hearing impaired individuals are enormous. Educated individuals are often not employed due to an inability to communicate. In Pakistan, the special education sector's enrolled student consists of different disabilities, that is slow learner 8%, mentally challenged 20%, physical disabled 6%, blind 8%, and major figure deaf and hearing impaired 58%, according to Punjab Special Education Policy 2020-2023. Despite this significant presence, their academic results tend to be poor. They are doing it without any special educational strategies and support. This is the main reason I select this study, because it focuses on large underserved population. And this is also my research problem. Research idea, this study aims to enhance the performance of students of hearing impaired in southern Punjab by integrating two powerful strategies: entrepreneurial education and total quality management. Entrepreneurial education builds entrepreneurial mindset with skills and knowledge, creativity, innovation, independence, and problem-solving skills. While total quality management ensures continuous improvement in teaching and learning quality, digital assistive labs, digital curriculum, plan, do, check and act audits, and so on. This is the problem statement, which I already mentioned, that 58% of students which are not getting the quality education. These are my research objectives. My first research objective is to explore the influence of entrepreneurial education, total quality management practices, contextual factors on quality school assessment of hearing impairment students. To examine the mediating role of, my second objective is to examine the mediating role of digital inclusive school climate on the relationship between entrepreneurial education and school performance. To examine the mediating effect of teacher job satisfaction on the relationship between quality management and school performance. And my fourth objective is to identify and analyze the stakeholders' perception of the key enablers and barriers in implementing entrepreneurial education and total quality management. This is my conceptual framework, in which left side there is the entrepreneurial education, contextual factors, and total quality management. And at the top, digital inclusive school climate, which is act as a mediator. And at the bottom, there is a job satisfaction. This acts a mediator between total quality management and quality school assessment. And contextual factor has a direct relationship with quality school assessment. Further, in the next model, I will explain it with figures. Significance of the study. The first significance of my study, this study is unique because it connects entrepreneurial education, total quality management, digital inclusive school climate, and job satisfaction for hearing impaired learners. And nobody has researched this before. Role of entrepreneurial education. Entrepreneurial education can help hearing impaired students by developing entrepreneurial mindset, skills with knowledge, independency, creativity, problem-solving problem skills for their future. When we provide entrepreneurial education to the students, they will become the job creators, not the job seekers. It will contribute to economic growth and sustainability. My third significance, this is very important significance. My whole research is on this third significance, focus on this third significance. This study focuses on integrating hearing impaired students into mainstream schools through sportive technology, making education more inclusive and ensure equal access to learning opportunities. इस थर्ड सिग्निफिकेंस है, मैं ये चाहता हूँ दिस रिसर्च supports that the hearing impairments who are getting the education from special education, we should merge in the mainstream schools, in general schools, by giving them assistive devices and tools so that they can communicate with the other people. HEC has initiated mandatory entrepreneurial education at university level. It is crucial to implement entrepreneurial education starting from pre-university level, because entrepreneurial education is basically building a mindset, and that mindset developed in early age, not in the maturity. My fifth significance of the study, definitely total quality management ensures better teaching quality that gives reduced learning poverty, improves human development, human capital, utilize human capital, prevent school deprivation, reduce learning depression, supports Generation Z. My seventh, OECD schools level and E3RS system level model. OECD means Organizational Economic Cooperative Development. I think you know better than me. This research also very important because OECD tells us what quality looks like. But this model, while this research explains how quality is enabled, how we can create the quality through proper teachers who knows the sign language, assistive devices, government support, family support, inclusive school climate. Without this quality education cannot possible. And how we will make it practice? Good teaching methods, student participation, entrepreneurial activities, feedback and improvement. Quality happens through daily action, not on policy only. And sustained through total quality management and continuous improvement. Train the teachers again and again. With as technology changes, we will train our teachers with respect to these technology. And this research also significant because this research is going to add new KPIs in the school performance. This research extends the traditional OECD school quality framework by integrating entrepreneurial education and digital inclusive school climate. And this research is move beyond access to quality and quality to employability. Similarly, OECD has two phases. One OECD used in school level, and other OECD used in system level. If when we talk about the system level, so
वकास
yes,
साहब अपने जो रिजल्ट्स हैं ना उन पे आ जाइए. सिग्निफिकेंस तो हो चुकी ना जी.
great,
अब
sir.
हमने देखना ये है कि आपने क्या काम किए.
Right, sir. This is my methodology. I use mixed method approach, quantitative and qualitative. I use stratified random sampling. And for qualitative, I use Atlas TI. This is my finding. This is my research model, respected sir. This is entrepreneurial education on the left side, and this shows a relationship with digital inclusive school climate. Their value is 0.645. That shows entrepreneurial has a strong relationship with digital inclusive school climate. while digital inclusive in school climate has a relationship with quality school assessment. Entrepreneur education has also a significant impact and relationship quality school assessment direct, but it is weak as comparatively the mediating effect of digital inclusive school climate. Its mean entrepreneurial education which emphasize skills development, and this will be possible through creating a digital inclusive school climate in the schools. What is digital inclusive school time? This is first time in the history I'm using this digital inclusive school climate. What is digital access of technology, broadband, internet, infrastructure? There should be a collaboration between teachers and students, between teachers and parents, and there should be a sport. There should be a sports or that is given to the teacher, technological sports that they can use and teach the student efficiently and effective through innovative teaching strategies. And there is in the middle there is a contextual factor. In contextual factors, there is a family support, government assistance, social economic factors, technology assistive infrastructure. They have a strong direct relationship with the quality school assessment. This is 0.463. It is the strongest variable in this model. And at the bottom there is a total quality management, which has significant relationship with the job satisfaction, and job satisfaction definitely enhance the school performance. Satisfied teachers improves school performance, and total quality management shows a strong relationship with job satisfaction. And a direct medium relationship or low relationship with quality school assessment. Total quality management, job satisfaction also has a strong mediator between total quality management and quality school assessment. And this is my construct reliability and validity scale values. This is my discriminant validity HTML. This is my research findings that already I discussed with you on my model. Entrepreneur education has a relationship with digital inclusive school climate. Beta is equal to 0.65. Entrepreneurial education strongly improve digital inclusive school climate. School climate mediates between entrepreneurial education and school performance. Indirect effect is 0.224. P is significance. Entrepreneurial education boosts engagement, creativity, and problem solving among hearing impaired students. Entrepreneurial activities, market stall, digital literacy, graphic design create real world learning. Literature shows entrepreneurial education improves academic performance 35% and societal participation by 58%. My second research findings about total quality management. Total quality management, as I already mentioned, that has a strong mediator of job satisfaction. Total quality management has a direct relationship with job satisfaction, but job satisfaction as well act as a mediator between total quality management and school performance, quality school assessment. So the job satisfaction mediates TQM performance, have indirect effect. Total quality management creates continuous professional development, clear procedure, and fair evaluation. Teacher feels secure, valued, and motivated. Better students' outcomes. Total quality management improves schools' efficiency by 40% and hearing impaired achievement by 32%. And my third research finding is about the contextual factors and barriers. Contextual factors, school performance, beta is 0.46. Contextual factor shows strong direct impact on quality school assessment. The key enablers are government support, family involvement, assistive technology. And key barriers are shortage of sign language teachers, lack of trained teachers, scarcity of sign language trainers, funding gaps, geographical isolation. Rural schools face weak internet, frequent power cuts, unsafe infrastructure. Buddy system and student leadership council promote inclusion effectively. These are the mediation and key findings which already I mentioned with you. This indicates digital inclusive school climate act as a mediator. And when entrepreneurial education is strong, it encourages innovation, relevance, knowledge with skills, creativity, initiative, teamwork, and problem-solving skills. Similarly, job satisfaction acts at total quality management. Job satisfaction acts as a mediator between total quality management and quality school assessment, where indirect effect is 0.215. P is significance. When total now there, this result is very interesting of mediating of job satisfaction between TQM and quality schools assurance. When total quality management practices are strong, it encourages continuous professional development. Sign language, trained teachers, definitely standardized and digital curriculum, clear procedure, fair evaluation, training and leadership sports, safe and inclusive school climate. Total quality, in simple term, to quality system works through motivated teachers, because in our model there is a strong relationship. Total quality management has a strong relationship with job satisfaction. So the word which I am mentioned, that total quality management improves teacher satisfaction, but better satisfaction does not always improve school performance. Why? Because you see our previous model, total quality management has a strong relationship with job satisfaction, but job satisfaction has a not weak relationship with quality school assessment. So this line is explain this equation. Better satisfaction does not always improve school performance. In Pakistan, many teachers feel satisfied mainly because of salary and job security. Because we belong to a developing country, our basic needs, roti kapra makan, वो हमारी नीड्स पहले पूरी होती हैं, तो फिर हम जाते हैं ना रिकॉग्निशन की तरफ, प्रमोशन और अदर बेनिफिट्स की तरफ. तो बेसिक वो जो टीचर्स का क्राइटेरिया है सेटिस्फेक्शन का, only depends upon salary and job security rather than students' success. So what we will do, therefore, quality improvement system can only work effectively when teachers are truly motivated, empowered, and focused on student outcomes. These are the enablers and barriers. There are 4 enablers and barriers of this research. One is empowering entrepreneurial education, because it builds confidence and skills. Digital literacy, graphic design, we can give them these kind of skills. Real world practice such as market stall, garden shop, e-commerce, making learning practical. Mentorship and role models. Senior students who passed out, they can visit the school as a role model, so that the young children can learn their stories and do better, perform better. And another is systematic barriers. Lack of trained teachers. There is a scarcity of trained teachers in southern Punjab. Even number of teachers ही पूरे नहीं हैं in southern Punjab में. Funding shortage, geographical isolation, rural schools are far, transport is limited, and infrastructure gap, weak internet, frequent power cuts, unsafe tools. And my third enablers are quality culture and improvement. School using plan, act, review, improve, charts through total quality management, through quality QEC light model, through dashboard and through tracker. They can assess the helps teacher to monitor attendance, their engagement, and their lesson progress, their activities. And fourth one, inclusive climate and staff well-being. Teachers trained in sign language and use of caption tech. Just I'm coming on conclusion. My first conclusion is that we should entrepreneurial education should be added in curriculum, and School climate is the most powerful lever for improving quality. Entrepreneur education must be introduced at school level, not just at university level. My second is total quality management. Significantly improves teacher job satisfaction. Satisfied teachers deliver better quality education. Total quality management works best when combined with reduced workload, training sports, inclusive leadership, quality system, work through motivated teachers. And last, the constructual factors and barriers. Constructual factors, family support, government aid, assistive technology show strong direct effect on school performance. Barriers, funding gaps, weak infrastructure, teachers burnout. Best results come when entrepreneur education, total quality management, supportive climate, trained teachers, and reduced workload work together. Policy recommendation. My first policy recommendation is government should first improve digital curriculum at least 6 to 10 due to the low cost, then provide relevant training to the teacher of digital equipments, and then enhance the socio-economic factor of the peoples of the country. And my second policy recommendation, disability sensitive financing reforms. Hearing impaired schools cost more to run, but current funding does not recognize this reality. Equity requires unequal but fair fundings. Protect non-salary budget for assistive technology, purpose buildings, because most of the buildings are rented buildings, transport, ICT, and captioning tools, visual aids. Global quality model, ISO, EFQM, Baldrige, must be adapted, not copied. Adopt a QAC light model for special education that has been suggested for this research, integrating entrepreneur education, total quality management, digital inclusive school climate, job satisfaction, and contextual factor. My third policy recommendation, government reforms through decentralization.
Your time is over. Please conclude in 1 minute.
Okay, sir. Entrepreneurial education is very important, and digital inclusive school climate supports the entrepreneurial education and school performance. Through digital inclusive school climate, we can provide skills with knowledge to our students, and total quality management ensures better teaching, trained teachers, better teaching quality through government assistance, family supports.
I must impose myself, Sir Waqas Sahab. The time for your presentation is over. Now we will move on to Miss Alvina Idris, who is the next presenter.
I'm Alvina from Government College University Lahore, and my co-PI is Dr. Saima Server. Basically, in this study, we have tried to examine the state-society relationship as how social capital is going to determine the responsible citizenship, for which we have taken civic engagement and compliance. We would like to thank RASTA and the mentors of this project. Now, starting from the significance and context with respect to Pakistan, here we have provided a bird's eye view of what the data says about Pakistan. As you can see, there is low level of trust with weak economic performance, high perceived exploitation is there, and there is low political participation. The state fragility index is also on high alert, and civic engagement is high, but the gap between formal and informal civic engagement need to be identified. And similarly, the altruistic behavior of Pakistanis has shown to be on the lower end. The scope of this study has taken two approaches. First is the top-down approach that considers social capital a valued byproduct within the political and institutional environment. And here state acts as a powerful third-party influencer, and this is the supply-side aspect, which explains that threat of being monitored leads to community-oriented policies. The second is the bottom-up approach, where elite challenging situations lead to reciprocity towards informal civic engagement and non-compliance behavior, as it inculcates a sense of inclusiveness among the citizens. And this is the demand-side aspect, where citizens get an intrinsic right to good governance, which feeds back to the responsible citizenship. There are three broad objectives of this study. First, to study the interaction between individual and the state based upon citizens' perception about politics and quality of governance. Second, to understand civic engagement and compliance through the prism of trust, in which we have taken generalized, institutional, and political trust. And third is to inquire how socioeconomic values have an impact on civic responsibility among the Pakistanis. We have used the mixed method approach, starting from the quantitative analysis. We have used the 3 waves of world value survey, and almost that makes up almost 5,000 respondents. And for estimation, we have used Bayesian hierarchical multinomial logistic regression. The variables that we have extracted from this is formal and informal civic engagement, institutional skepticism, generalized institutional and political trust, life satisfaction, socioeconomic insecurities, and the tax compliance attitude. This is followed by a qualitative analysis for a grounded approach from where we have collected primary data consisting of 3 FDGs, sessions, and 11 key informant interviews, and the participants included both the citizens and the representatives from government officials. The reason of using Bayesian hierarchical MLR is that it controls for temporal variation for group level clustering, as we have collected the data across 3 waves of world value survey. And it will also help us to contextualize the individual level micro responses within the broader macro structural conditions, as how these jointly is going to determine the outcome variable, which is the civic engagement and tax compliance behavior. The odds ratios are calculated and the details table are provided in the report. Here we are just going to discuss the results. But before that, I must explain the analytical framework. Here, if trust is higher, it leads to formal civic engagement, but through the bottom-up approach, trust deficit leads to political and social activism. And both trust and civic engagement is going to determine the compliance behavior, which we have studied after controlling for freedom of choice, life satisfaction, and socioeconomic insecurities. Now, coming to the findings, who joins the formal groups? It has been observed that active members has reported higher life satisfaction, financial stability, and political interest than the non-members. And when social trust is low, we have 2 responses that emerge. First is the disengaged group, who withdraw from civic life, and second is the empowered group, who increase participation to counter the threats to autonomy. And the people have responded that formal civic engagement requires economic security, as it gives them the sense of prestige and personal freedom. Second finding is that civic defiance is more of a moral detachment. We have observed that not all protests are equal. There is a constructive dissent, where the peaceful demonstration strengthens the compliance behavior among the Pakistanis, but the protest-driven actions such as the petitions and boycotts, it legitimizes their evasion behavior as well. And people have responded that petitions serve as indirect accountability and transparency, and they want to have consultation with relevant stakeholders to reduce the information gap. So the key policy insight is that we need to create formal avenues for voice before dissent turns into alienation. Now, coming to the informal civic action, what drives it? We have divided it into 2 parts. First part is that we have observed that citizens show strategic adaptation of soft exit, depending upon the expected effectiveness of the trade-off between exit and voice. Here, the people with personal freedom of choice and control, they have carved out insulated zones of autonomy, where making direct confrontation with state unnecessary, even when institutional skepticism is high. And what people have responded to us in field survey is that people distrust on institutions does not stem from the belief that system is completely unfair, but rather from the gaps between policy design and its implementation, especially at the local level. And people do express frustration when perception of injustice prevail, and that is more related to the procedural delays and limited responsiveness. The second part is related to the socioeconomic insecurities. We have found that education inaccessibility has strong positive association as it is tied with empowerment and aspirations for vertical social mobility. Health inaccessibility has insignificant effect as its demand is highly individualistic, which requires urgent need that cannot be met by coordinated collective action. Food insecurity has suppressed informal civic engagement, and what the citizens have shared that people with very low income who need to prioritize their daily survival often remain disengaged. Whereas the cash income worries mobilizes informal engagement, and people have shared that the rising cost of living is causing frustration that weakens the trust in state institutions. Another finding is about the standby citizens. These are the people who enjoy personal freedom, but they are politically passive, but ready to actively participate when solely considering the distrust on government institutions. Now coming to the next part, which is the text compliance. The puzzle one is related to the horizontal and vertical trust. The quantitative analysis has shown that the institutional skepticism has 3 times higher odds of justifying the tax evasion, whereas generalized social trust has no effect, which shows the trust paradox. Life satisfaction in terms of the freedom and control over the choices, it reduces the tax evasion, and non-institutional participation increases evasion except the peaceful demonstration. And what the people have shared with us is that tax morale is linked to the quality of public service delivery and use of public funds within the local communities. And the perceived elite capturing and reliance on personal network leads to institutional skepticism more. So the key policy insight is that personal autonomy buffers the institutional distrust. The second puzzle is related to the institutional trust hierarchy. Here are the key findings. As you can see that high trust on army reduces the tax cheating drastically, which is shown in the results, and it is due to the strong normative alignment. Whereas high reciprocity effect of lower trust with tax evasion is seen in the case of judiciary, government, and the civil services, and the moderate reciprocity effect is seen for parliament, and whereas insignificant result is observed in case of the police, where individual has their own personal coping mechanism. What the people have shared with us is that trust is built socially through repeated individual experiences. And the negative experiences are more related to the procedural delays and inaccessibility to the public offices that due to which they reciprocate their behavior towards tax evasion. So the key policy insight is that tax morale is linked to the perceived credibility of any state actor, not just the tax authorities. The last puzzle related to tax compliance is related to the political trust and electoral integrity. The quantitative analysis has shown that declining trust in political actors and national elections alienates citizens from state obligation, as citizens see no clear link between local votes and tax benefits in terms of the local level service delivery failure, and trust in election officials and vote counting does matter, as lower trust in both significantly increases the odds of justifying tax cheating. What people have shared with us is that perceived misuse of public resources justify tax cheating. Social media information reinforces the institutional skepticism, and there are politically aware citizens who have expressed learned disillusionment of being indifferent, especially if institutions lack capacity. So the key policy insight is that trust in national electoral integrity is central to tax morale. As well, the local institutions must become more responsive to the service delivery. Here we have provided a graph where you can see the tax to GDP ratio over time and the tax justifiability which has been extracted from the World Value Survey, you can see that whenever the tax amnesty scheme has been introduced, there has been a one-time jump and then falling back to the average value of 10 or less than 10%. So this shows that the repeated amnesties have signaled weak enforcement and lower future compliance towards tax. So instead of a one-time amnesty schemes such as these, a follow-up tax compliance measure is required. Now, summing up what the four major takeaways from the field responses that we have gathered is that Pakistan's trust is not a social problem, but an institutional one. And when institutions fail to deliver, citizens don't just protest, but morally justify tax evasion as reciprocity behavior. Third, citizens demand visible benefits at local level, such as reduced procedural delays and increased accessibility to public offices. And fourth, citizens justified non-compliance as a practical strategy, which they call the survival tactic rather than a moral failing. So it requires transforming the community mindset and restore public trust in the institutions. So the way forward, based on our analysis, is that tax compliance strategies in Pakistan must target voluntary behavioral nudges through norm building. And awareness about transparent electoral process can reduce tax evasion attitude. We need to strengthen the trust in civil institutions, especially judiciary, civil services, and the government. And it is necessitated for sustainable governance and responsible citizenship. And lastly, an integrated governance reform is required to restore public trust and the compliance behavior, which must include participatory mechanism, overcoming procedural delays, and improved accessibility and transparency. So this is the overall gist of our research. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Alvina. You have finished your presentation before time, which is really remarkable. Next, I would like to invite our presenters who are presenting on a very, very important subject, which is it's an oft excluded subject, which is inclusivity of neurodiverse youngsters in higher education and employment, a data-driven policy solution by Sidra Irfan from NUST, Islamabad.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, sir. And especially thank you, PIDE RASTA, for providing this opportunity to conduct research on this important topic. So the topic is inclusivity of neurodiverse youngsters in higher education and employment, a data-driven policy solution. And my team members are Dr. Sahad, Sara, and Aisha Amreen. So the overall presentation include brief introduction, research question, and brief methodology. I come up and then results and policy solutions. So the introduction, before starting the presentation, I would like to introduce what exactly the neurodiversity is. Neurodiversity is basically the variations in neurological function instead of considering is as an incompetency and psychopathology. These variations may stop these individuals to do daily functioning, some of the daily functionings, yes. So that's why it is important to understand the neurodiversity. So if you see the global and Pakistan prevalence, global prevalence for autism and ADHD is quite high. But as far as Pakistan prevalence is concerned, we don't have data, but the local research on some of the cities which are conducted, it shows that around 350,000 children were suffering from ASD in 2020. And within 5 years, the referral for autism and ADHD increases in 2023 research. So prevalence is quite high, but unfortunately, we don't have national level prevalence data for these conditions. If we consider the gaps, globally, adult autism and ADHD is understudied. People are studying it because it's like, if you consider adults, so maybe after 20, these researches need to be conducted. So overall, it is understudy area. And if you consider in Pakistan, there are no proper policies and structural support available because the people, they don't have understanding about these problems. So in order to support this research, we have taken the social model of disability, which has guided this research, which shows that disability is not what is actually existing. It is something which is maybe generated when the institution and environment and social structures are unable to understand and accommodate these differences. It is not kind of an impairment. These are the things sometimes the environment, they don't understand that this is a different person. That is why they consider it as a disability. So now autism and ADHD somehow in some situations they are considered as disability, but in current situation, if you consider the DSM as well, it is no more kind of a disability, it is a diversity in the population, right? So but sometimes we don't have inclusions in our societies which make it as a disability. That's why it is important to understand why, especially in current situation of Pakistan. Now, there are 5 major research questions. The first 3 are the qualitative one, which is to understand what are the actual experiences of neurodivergent individuals in higher education and employment sector, and what are their challenges and opportunities. The third question is about the opinion of the experts regarding inclusive practices and policies in Pakistan for young adults with autism and ADHD. And the fourth and fifth is basically telling us the ground reality. What is the acceptance of the university teachers and the employees? Because it is these 2 questions are tapping their knowledge, their understanding about the autism and ADHD, their attitude towards them, and what kind of the practices, if they know something, what kind of the practices they are doing on ground to accommodate them. As far as the methodology is concerned, there are around 6 data sets, and a qualitative study and a quantitative study, they are conducted parallel. Qualitative is with young adults diagnosed with autism and ADHD, with parent and practitioner, a parent who is also a practitioner in this field, and a government officer from a special education department. For the quantitative study, the survey was conducted from the university students and employees from different organizations. So the triangulation was conducted, and then policy recommendation is given. I just go through all these phases. Qualitative phases around 18 to 23 age group of young adults were approached, and semi-structured interviews were conducted. Ethical approval was taken from NUST University Ethical Board, and data was analyzed through Max QDA. Quantitative with different statistics tools. At the end, we get 380 data for the teachers and 272 data for the employees from different sectors like software houses, banks, and telecoms. And for the university, semi-government, government university, and private university, all of them from Rawalpindi and Islamabad. These are some of the questionnaires which we have taken to tap into the quantitative research understanding. So now come to the result. The result section is from the autistic and ADHD children, young adults, the demographics, and the next table is also very important. If you see the demographic, you can see that it's a variation of all of the classes, and I would like to mention here that these are the classes that they have mentioned they belong to, economic status. And you can see that most of them they have diagnosed with in adulthood, and most of them are diagnosed by a psychiatrist, not a proper team of multidisciplinary team. And we have taken the participant from Rawalpindi, Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. And if you can see the university, most of them they have graduated from private university, few from government university, and few they have also dropped out from the university. And you can also see that 2 of them, they don't want to mention the university, either it's government or what, they don't want to mention it. Then this is also an important thing. If you can see that what kind of medicine they have taken throughout their life, which help them to reduce their symptoms, you can see that most of them, they have used Ritalin. And if you see the status of the employment, you can see that most of them have done their jobs which are freelancing or online jobs. This show their patrons. It would be difficult for them to socially interact with the people. One of them is government officer, and few are unemployed. Few have taken the medicines which help them to lower their anxiety symptoms, and few also for the antidepressants. You can see the patrons. Most of them, they have done their jobs in online or maybe in some private sector, and majority have done online jobs. Majority, and few of them they have dropped out because of their certain reasons, which I want to explain next slides. If you look into their IPA analysis, you can see that they have mentioned that institutional and systematic barriers are there. And the stigma that they have faced, sometimes they were called with different names because people don't know the condition. And you can see the diagnosis pathway, it is very difficult for them and for the parents, because throughout their life, why they were diagnosed at adulthood, because throughout their life they were diagnosed with different methods. Either maybe behavioral problem, or maybe people were saying that they don't want to study, they are not interested. That's why all of their diagnosis was delayed. And in case of girls, especially, one of the girls reported that the parents, they don't consider it as a problem, and when they got a job, they approach psychologists and then they diagnose it with their own money because the parents don't want to spend with them. So these are some of the things that I want to mention. Now, a mother, a parent, and a practitioner. When we take an interview from her, she said that she's involved in very a different level for the development of policy, but due to the unawareness, due to the bureaucratic turnover throughout very rapidly in Pakistan, it is very difficult to come up with a policy, because whenever we made a policy, there is a turnover, and then all the process and all the efforts, they are nowhere. So she said that it is important that we need to have a autonomous body which is not relevant to the government, but it includes parents, teachers, professionals, and also the autistic and neurodiverse youngsters who can make this policy and help. And there could be one person who can be elected from anyone, from the government and all the board, and then that person may run that's whole institution and lead that policy. This is one of the good suggestions, that's why I included it here. And then she also mentioned that adult autism remain undiagnosed, and if it is diagnosed, the stigma is there. The people, they don't want to share that they are autistic. And the manifestation of this symptoms, major reason is for the manifestation of the symptoms are because of its anger, social awkwardness, and sometimes OCD like tendencies, that are one of the reason that autism remain undiagnosed in adulthood. And adult autism is a very real problem in today's world, not only in Pakistan but globally. When we conducted an interview from a government official, she stated some of the policies जो कि federal level पे हैं, and she also stated because after 18th amendment, the policy from every province is different. So she hardly know about other provinces, but she said on the federal level, they have board जहाँ पे वो certificate भी दे रहे हैं autism से related, or with that certificate that the youngsters or the children, they are also getting reduced travel cost and sometimes fee waive off in different institutions. She also mentioned that at school level they have teachers training, but teachers are even after pilot study of that training or curriculum program, she said that there is no improvement she can see in the children because the teachers' attitude are lacking. They are not in that. Their attitude is like that most of the time the neurodivergent people, they are not included in the class. That is why she said there are some other things that needs to be done at especially school level. But for the university level, she said no university have ever approached, and she, according to her, there is no such curriculum and policy at the higher education level. So there is a need to understand. She also mentioned one of the points जो कि मैं आगे भी mention करूँगी कि when they are in special education after 18, when they left special education, they are all on their own. At that time, they need help because with the transition hai, there is no one who can provide this transition smooth or effective for them. Even parents are helpless. So sometimes ऐसा होता है उनके पास कुछ ऐसे भी बच्चे थे जो 18 years के बाद दोबारा वापस आए क्योंकि उनकी situation worst हो रही थी because they don't have a supporting system around their कि वो transition college और फिर आगे university में. So quantitative में आए तो overall teachers हमने government और private school universities सबसे लिए थे, and majority of the teachers said that they have little contact with any neurodiverse student. So obviously they don't have information about that. Employee sector में भी similar आप देखिए situation थी कि majority जो थे उनका कॉन्टैक्ट जो है वो बहुत कम था न्यूरोडाइवर्स यंगस्टर्स के साथ. नाउ कम टू द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ क्वांटिटेटिव एंड क्वालिटेटिव स्टडी. इफ यू सी दैट यू कैन सी there is a very low level of weak knowledge about autism among teachers. They don't have much knowledge about autism. Weak 63.4% of the teachers have weak knowledge. Weak knowledge means that they score less than 50 on the knowledge questionnaire, and acceptable mean that they have scored between 50 to 70, but good knowledge is only 5%, which shows only more than 70% of the knowledge. This quantitative data is also depicted in the verbatims of children who are youngsters who are diagnosed with autism. They said that some teachers are understanding when I quietly explained I was autistic, but others thought I was just shy or uninterested. Faculty were polite but not trained for autism. People think autism only affects children, that it's something extreme, like someone who can't talk. There is no awareness about higher functioning autism and Asperger's in adults, especially women. Now, if we see the employee section, most से भी ज़्यादा worst है, 2% है सिर्फ good understanding. इसी तरह verbatim किसी ने एक one of the adult autistic ने mention किया था. They think autism is like what they see in the movies, either a genius or someone who can't speak. I'm neither, so I just come off as difficult or cold. Now, if we talk about the relationship between knowledge, attitude, and practice, you can see that there is strong knowledge. If the people have good knowledge, then they have a positive attitude toward these people, and they may try to implement some kind of practices. You can see that institutional accommodation, somehow they can provide teachers जितनी भी उनके पास नॉलेज होती है, बट क्लास लेवल पे जो इंस्ट्रक्शनल उनकी प्रेपरेडनेस है वो भी somehow गुड होती है if they have good knowledge about it. Now if we see के verbatims क्या हैं हमारे पास जो qualitative का data है, you can see that they provide institutional accommodation if they know the knowledge, but verbatims are saying that every university show that they prioritize mental health and they most organize sessions, but on lower level none of them actually do anything meaningful, and the mental health as something excluded or separated. Second, ये female का है, they don't even give support to the student that ask for mental health accommodation. फिर जो mother थी उन्होंने कहा कि autism को still mental retardation में किया जाता है, तो I don't talk about the policy right now, the practice is still very low. जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर है उन्होंने ये बताया कि डिसेबिलिटी बोर्ड है जिन्होंने ऑटिज्म को कंसिडर किया उस बोर्ड में, और नाउ दे आर गिविंग सर्टिफिकेट टू द ऑटिस्टिक चिल्ड्रन, जिसकी वजह से फी वे वो ट्रैवलिंग में हमें कहीं ना कहीं इंफॉर्मेशन मिलती है कि दी जा रही है एट स्पेशली फेडरल लेवल पे. मैं एंड में इफ आई गेट टाइम तो मैं आपको पंजाब की भी सिचुएशन बताऊंगी जो कि मुझे फरवरी में पता चली जो एक्ट पास आउट हुआ. ओके, देन इंस्ट्रक्शन लेवल पे जो पॉलिसीज हैं, प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, दे सेड कि फ्यू टीचर्स दे ट्राई टू अकोमोडेट बट दे डोंट नो हाउ टू अकोमोडेट. जिस तरह इसमें लिखा है, आई वुड से दैट इवन द यूनिवर्सिटी पीपल weren't educated enough to consider this kind of thing. I mean, they might be educated degrees, but their mindset is same. They don't know how to accommodate these individuals. Then a female ne kaha it was a bit tricky because the department did not have specific guideline for or there was specific accommodation in place. So like a lot of time when I would approach my instructor, they wouldn't really know what to do either, and there was a lot of flipping out to do. Phir parent ne kaha hai ki if you want to start such program, train your teachers, tell them how to work with the children, at what pace to take them, and how to break things down. जो गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर्स हैं उन्होंने कहा है कि इन पाकिस्तान, एज आई मेंशन अर्लियर, इट इजंट टीचर्स don't have understanding. We do have trainings at school level, but still they means neurodiverse don't get included because the teacher have certain attitude. No curriculum and trainings for the university teachers is available. Now come to the employee sector. For the employees, you can see the similar kind of correlations, but few are, you can see medical model mein knowledge ke autism knowledge ke sath there is no such connections, only fit in and practice level they have some good relationship. So on this they show that I told my manager after some time he was supported but admitted he didn't fully understand autism. I haven't told all my co-workers because I worry they might treat me differently or pity. One colleague once said, I have no social battery. In that I made meeting awkward. Then parent and practitioner जो थी उन्होंने कहा कि he know one of the autistic children और वो बहुत ओपन था अपनी ऑटिज्म के बारे में, बट व्हेनेवर ही डिस्क्लोज तो उससे बहुत सारे काम ले लिए जाते थे, और इवन ही सफर अ लॉट इन मैरिज। जब भी उसने मैरिज के लिए जो है मैच ढूंढना शुरू किया, तो इन इश्यूज की वजह से उसे बहुत प्रॉब्लम हुई, तो नाउ ही इज साइलेंट, नाउ ही डोंट वांट टू डिस्क्लोज इट। Then a government officer ने कहा है कि that the point when the child is done with the school, that they need support the most. The institution have curriculums, and they follow it. Once they are out of school designed for them, the system is too different. A lot of them aren't able to cope with. So that's the problem, that after special education schools, when they enter into the higher education, they don't have any support available. So policy recommendation के लिए अगर हम current situation देखें, तो HEC के 2021 में जो एक डॉक्यूमेंट आया था, दे हैव मेंशन कि डिसेबिलिटी इंक्लूडेड मेंटल एंड फिजिकल एंड ऑल काइंड ऑफ impairment word they have used, but they didn't mention कि how to accommodate them. They have mentioned कि उन्हें extra time दिया जाए, but class में जब वो पढ़ रहे होते हैं, how to accommodate them. और ये जो स्टिग्मा और प्रॉब्लम्स हैं उसके बारे में देयर इज नो गाइडलाइंस, टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग नहीं अवेलेबल, तो हाउ अ टीचर कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि किस तरह की प्रैक्टिसेस की जाएंगी. प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पे अवेलेबल है, बट नॉट विद न्यूरो डाइवर्सिटी. डिसेबिलिटी राइट को अगर हम देखें तो इन्होंने इंक्लूजन एंड नॉन डिस्क्रिमिनेशन की बात की, बट स्टिल what exactly is this? उसमें autism और ये चीजें मिसिंग है. Neurodiversity को मिस, उसमें कोई डिटेल्स अवेलेबल नहीं है. So if we look into the model, we have proposed a model we tried for the policy recommendation that immediate action could be taken with the low cost, that evidence हमारी research से है कि there is a low level of knowledge about autism and ADHD overall. So the neurodiversity training could be mandatory for the teacher. It could be in any form, in the lectures form or in any forms, because teachers training is the mandatory in every university. So maybe HSC can do it. कि उसमें one part could be the training about neurodiversity. Stigma is there, तो awareness programs could be launched at maybe media पे भी, जिस तरह पोलियो की campaigns के लिए एक message दे दिया जाता है. जब आप call करते हैं कहीं, तो उससे पहले we have to listen the whole message about polio and some other things. Why not about this? तो इस तरह के जो campaigns हैं वो sometimes
Ma'am, you have 1 more minute left, so kindly conclude it quickly.
Yes. So moderate, इसके अलावा हम पार्टिसिपेटरी इंफॉर्मेशन को भी ले सकते हैं सिस्टमैटिक लेवल पे भी. यहाँ पर सिर्फ एक चीज मैं लास्ट कंक्लूड करना चाहूंगी कि जब हम जो फिजिकली डिसेबल, जैसा ब्लाइंड है, उसको क्लासरूम में स्पेशल इक्विपमेंट दिया जा सकता है, तो व्हाई नॉट दीज पीपल इफ दे आर अनेबल टू कंसंट्रेट, तो वो जो साउंड कटिंग सिस्टम, वो हेडफोन्स हैं वो, या फिर कुछ टेक्स्ट AI टूल्स होते हैं जो कि टीचर्स के वर्बेटम्स को टेक्स्ट में कन्वर्ट कर देते हैं. तो दीज आर सम ऑफ द थिंग्स जो कि मे बी मिड टर्म कॉस्ट है, बट इट कैन बी हेल्पफुल. स्ट्रक्चर लेवल पे देयर आर समथिंग जो कि हेल्प कर सकती हैं हम लोगों को ट्रांजिशन के लिए. कुछ सिस्टम्स, इंटर्नशिप्स और कॉलेज से यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए ट्रांजिशंस एडल्ट्स के डिफरेंट सेक्शंस बनाए जाएं which can be helpful for them. So that is all from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. And now we move on to Ijaz Ahmed Saab, graduates low employability in Pakistan, and its modeling demand for marketable knowledge and skills. That's by Ijaz Ahmed Sahib from University of Glasgow, UK. So Ijaz Saab, over to you.
Thank you so much. I'll quickly jump to the introduction then. I, with my colleagues David Palma and Amir Zia, we conducted this study on graduates' low employability in Pakistan, and we used modeling techniques to investigate the marketable knowledge and skills. So graduate employability is not only a Pakistani problem, it's a global problem, but in Pakistan or in any other country with low quality of education, it's more precarious. So in Pakistani context, there are different statistics by different studies by World Bank. One was done by PIDE, Nadimul Aqsab and Nayab Saiba, and there is one by ILO. So different studies have different estimates of the graduates' unemployment in Pakistan. But the problem is significant and known to everyone who is directly or indirectly involved with higher education. So this has further been aggravated by the changing nature of the job market and new demand for the skills and introduction of AI and other things. So essentially, our research focuses on investigating the gap between the demand for the marketable knowledge and skills and the supply of marketable knowledge and skills in terms of trained graduates by higher education institutions in Pakistan. And that's the core of this study. So the main objective is to investigate the higher education institutions' graduate employability in terms of exploring students' and employers' preferences for demand-driven and marketable knowledge and skills. And the focus of this research is on business and economic graduates. And that was done after the initial comments from the reviewers, because different disciplines have obviously different skill sets, requirement, and different job market requirements. So our focus is only on business and economics graduates. The specific research questions are the skills which employers look for among fresh graduates in economics and business disciplines, and the skill sets or marketable knowledge which students are seeking from different programs of higher education, and what is the gap or alignment or misalignment thereof between the demand and supply for marketable knowledge and skills. We use mixed method approach. Uh, Specifically, we have used choice modeling or choice experiment approach. And this entails experimental design, which requires that you start from the desk review and literature review of the relevant studies and then conduct in-depth consultations through expert interviews or focus groups with relevant population or relevant people to establish the attributes, what we call in the choice experiment or choice modeling language. So those attributes are essentially a set of parameters which are most relevant to the service, product, or policy which is being investigated. So in this case, we used focus groups and expert interviews with some academics, students, and few employers to be able to refine the attributes which we had listed or shortlisted from the desk review or literature review to make them more context specific and relevant in the Pakistani context. And based on those attributes, we developed the experiment using experimental design. And this experiment was piloted twice along with the questionnaire. So our data collection entailed two components. One was experimental design, and second was the questionnaire. So both together were implemented in the survey. The study was conducted with employers as well as students. We surveyed about 200 employers and about 900 students. For students survey, we used 4 universities from Islamabad, which include Qaid-e-Azam University, Nust University, Islamic University, and Namal University. And we used systematic random sampling for the student survey. However, for the employer survey, it was purposive sampling because we consulted different employer registers and agencies such as Islamabad Chamber of Commerce and other places where we could find the employer's data. And then within the data, not every employer was willing to give the time. Our target was 1,000 students for the student survey and 200 employers for the employer survey. So our students are around 900 after cleaning the data, and our employers are around 190. Within this methodological approach, we used choice sets based on the attributes, and we presented those choice sets after using the experimental designs to randomize different combinations of those choice sets to the students and employers. And ask them to make the choices between different combinations of the employable skills and knowledge along with their monetary value. For the students, it was a fee per semester fee that they pay in. For employers, it was the starting salary for in hypothetical graduate, and we give different ranges, which I'm going to show you in a bit. And we use multinomial logit and mixed logit models, which are the standard model specifications for choice data. So these are the different attributes that we have used and tailored to Pakistani context. In this table, what you see on the extreme left column are the attributes, which are digital skills, writing skills, analytical skills, personal attributes, social and attitudinal variables, and practical experience. And last is either salary or fee as a monetary variable to monetize the value of different skills and knowledge. Each skill has 3 levels, and these levels for all the listed skills or attributes were randomized, and different random combinations were created and presented to the respondents for making the choices. I can explain this if there are any questions. In this, the same set of attributes were used for both the surveys except the attitude variable or attitude attitude attribute, which was only used in the employer survey but not in the student survey. Other than that, all the attributes were same. This is the data description from both the surveys. As I said, 188 employers and 847, not around 900, but around 800 students. I'll not explain the socio-demographics. I'll quickly go to the model results. So here, these are the results, and we are presenting these results in the graphs for ease of interpretation, and obviously the model tables were too large. So for brevity and ease, we have converted the findings into the graphs, and we use marginal effects to present. So the way to interpret these graphs is that the bar height represents the marginal effect in terms of percentage. So we are essentially focusing on 2 specific questions: that what skills employers are looking for among fresh graduates and what skills students are seeking to acquire through different academic programs. So I'll be going through some of the key findings because of the time constraint, but I can explain in question answer session if you have any questions. So first of all, problem solving, creativity, critical thinking, and advanced data analysis are some of the most sought after skills, both by employers as well as students. The blue bars are for employers, the orange bars are for students. So both the populations converge, but employers relatively prefer more or value more the problem solving skills, creativity, and critical thinking skills in advanced data analysis. So these are the 4 most valuable skills which are highly sought after or highly valued by the employers. But interestingly, and this is something which academics should take note of, that these are rarely taught directly, at least in the business or economics programs. The second set of findings is about, again, these 2 questions, and the focus is shifted from the technical skills to more soft skills, where you can see the sort of within the triangle are highlighted bars that time management, trustworthiness, networking, professional networking at workplace, initiative in workplace norms are some of the attributes of the fresh graduates which are highly valued by the employers, but unfortunately students put very low value on these specific attributes. 2 other notable findings are case study method of the teaching and internship. First, I'll talk about internship. internship is highly valued by students. Our students perceive higher value of the internship, but employers have placed very low value on internship compared to when it is compared to the students' valuation. What could be the reason? One is that the sort of authenticity or veracity of this experience, because in many cases these internships are very short in time, and internees are rarely very serious about developing the skills. And second is that academia could not market the internship experience or sort of own and promote the internship experience. So employers perceive it not very valuable. The other thing is that we included three attributes to sort of as proxy of marketable knowledge and skills. One was internship, second was case study method of teaching, and third was invited lectures by the industry people. So these two are not very highly valued by the employers. In the next slide here, another interesting set of findings is about the writing skills and basic data analysis skills. So we can see here that basic data analysis skills for the economics or business graduates is highly valued by the students, but it is not very much valued by the employers because they prefer advanced skills in data analysis and technical writing. Especially in alarmingly, students have very low value for the technical writing skill. And this is something which academics should highlight in their academic programs, in their teachings, because technical writing is something which is very crucial for professional success. And as we see here in the results, but students are not taking this. They seem to be considering it less relevant. So advanced writing skills are valued more by employers, in other words, than the students. Another set of findings where we see the negative average marginal effects on choice probability of getting hired are the basic report writing skills in policy notes. That's essentially basic or median level report writing. So this tells that the basic writing or basic report writing is something which employers do not see any value in terms of the skills of the fresh graduates. So this is also something which is not very important, but highly advanced technical writing. Okay, then we included some of the socio-demographic characteristics from our questionnaire, because as is explained earlier, that our survey involved the experimental design as well as the questionnaire data. So from the two surveys, the results or findings from the interaction variables show that the employers in the policy and research sector value critical thinking and creativity more than the rest of the employers in other sectors. Government employers value workplace norms, internships, and following the workplace norms and having good manners, etc., which is an indication of conformity and structured workplace. Next is large employers value basic digital skills more than the advanced digital skills, and similarly, large employers value basic report writing skills more than the small or medium level employers. This is an indication that the small employers or medium employers are more competitive, and here the large employers could also be because of the government organizations in the sample, which already have more inclination towards conformity and medium level of skills. As for students data or students model, postgraduate students value soft skills such as time management and workplace norms more than the undergraduate students. Then economics students value advanced data analysis skills more than the business and management students, an expected result. University-wise data analysis shows that NUS students value networking more than the students from other universities. For example, Islamic university students value soft skills relatively lower than other universities. Moving on to the conclusion. So here are some of the conclusions from our study. Both employers and students value advanced analytical competencies such as problem solving, creativity, critical thinking, and advanced data analysis. But as I said, these are rarely directly taught or mainstreamed into academic programs. Second is student place less value on soft skills than the employers or than the employer's expectation. Third is that government employers place greater emphasis on workplace norms, employees' personal conduct, and hence appreciate the conformity. As is mentioned earlier, small employers retain less value for basic skills and appreciate the advanced skills more than their larger counterparts. And the last is that research in policy-oriented organizations demand stronger analytical and creative capacities. Last is policy implication.
I would say David Saab and Ejaz Saab, you have run out of your time, so please quickly conclude in
Sir, this
30
is last
seconds.
slide.
30 seconds.
Yes. So there's need for shift of focus from knowledge to delivery of the skill development. There is need for professional faculty engagement with industry professional for academics, and there is need to design programs considering industry needs. Specialized employer focused targeted programs plus job market preparations is something which has been identified, though we could not formally incorporate this component, but I can explain later that what this is. For students, advanced problem solving is extremely important, irrespective of their program, and the soft skills are crucial to navigate the workplaces. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that excellent presentation. I think we all learned a lot from that. Now, without further delay, I would like to invite the last presenters of this panel, Rumam Sayyid Saiba from Rawalpindi Women's University, to speak on the subject of empowered choices, a curriculum for understanding boundaries and consent, which indeed is a very important subject in our current social context. Over to you, Ruman Saiba.
I'm Ruman Saeed, and alongside my co-principal investigator, Aruj Nasreen, and research associate, Iman Saeed, we are going to present our research Empowered Choices, a curriculum for understanding boundaries and consent in Pakistan. Sir, can you please go to the next slide? Thank you. Before I venture into our solutions or findings, I am just going to show you the problem that we are facing today. um, every single day in Pakistan, an average of 12 children experience sexual abuse. This is not abstract data. This is from Sahil's Cruel Numbers Report 2024, and these are only the reported cases. We're coming towards the response. Pakistan has progressive reactive laws. We cannot deny them. We have anti-rape act, we have PECA for cyber crimes, but these are essential, but the common word or the word that we need to focus is reactive. They activate after the harm has occurred. They respond to trauma, they do not prevent it. And coming towards the question of prevention, the single national curriculum, the SNC, our national educational framework, completely omits this explicit education on body autonomy, boundaries, consent. There's not a single mandatory lesson in any of the course books that are put in the schools. The result is obviously a landscape that is defined by silence, cultural taboos, young people who fundamentally lack vocabulary, they lack confidence to identify violations, and violations before they escalate. So this is the gap this study is going to fill. Next slide, please, sir. This is again showing, this frame is showing our argument more clearly. On the left side, you can see the current vulnerability that I've already told you, and on the right side, you can see the solution. What this empowered choices curriculum brings forth. We propose a paradigm shift. We propose a consent education that should not be seen as harm reduction, or that is not something reactive, but it is a proactive public health measure. Just as we teach children how to look both ways before crossing the road, we must teach them to recognize and assert their personal boundaries as well. Our intervention is a culturally responsive three-tiered curriculum. It is between the ages of 5 to 18. It teaches them bodily autonomy, boundary setting, digital consent, about cyberbullying, about cyber crimes. It not only teaches them about the laws, about the preventive measures as well. And then there was another thing that some people put forth this critique that we are importing Western ideas, but we intervened in that, and we put forth these ideas that were related to the Islamic or cultural concepts of Pakistani society. So this was all about protecting Pakistani children. This is again the same thing, the post harm reaction and the pre harm prevention. This is essentially the same thing that I've already told you, and to save the time, I'll move on to the next thing. Next slide, please, sir. So this is basically what our research is organized on. What are our three core questions, the three pillars of investigation. First pillar is cultural translation. How do we develop a culturally responsive consent curriculum for conservative Pakistani context? We again, as I've already told you, that we cannot simply import Western models. We needed that something that works here. Second pillar was effectiveness. How does this specific curriculum shift student knowledge, attitudes, behaviors? We needed measurable evidences. Third pillar is systematic viability. What are the absolute systematic requirements for sustainable national implementation? Because a curriculum that works in a pilot stage cannot scale. It works in a pilot scale, but it is a demonstration project. We needed something that showed a hint of a result, that if it would be implemented overall Pakistan, so what would be the results of that? So our policy relevance included, it is associated with some certain SDGs as well, of quality education, of gender equality as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So our methodology basically used a mixed method conversion parallel design. In some simpler terms, this basically means we collected quantitative survey data, qualitative interviews, FGDs, observation data side by side, and then we integrated them for validation. We also included a theoretical framework for qualitative data to study that, that is based on empowerment theory, social learning theory, and informed consent theory. All these theories are related to whatever we were trying to procreate. And this approach allowed us to measure what changed while understanding why and how it changed. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just a glimpse of how we basically executed this across Pakistan. So the first phase was institutional engagement. We held formal meetings with school administrators in across all provinces. Initially, we wanted to conduct it in Islamabad and Islamabad and Rawalpindi, but then seeing that we wanted representation from each and every province, we expanded our research to all the provinces and took representation from each province. Slight representation, but it was a representation. We held formal meetings, as I've already told you, with school administrators, addressed their concerns, obtained approval for pilot implementation. Then in the second phase, we conducted trauma informed training sessions with educators. We told them about our curriculum, we took their questions, we added them into our curriculum as well, their concerns. We had made teaching aids, we had made parental guidelines, we had made pamphlets. So all of their suggestions were included while the project was ongoing. And in the third stage, we delivered this, tier delivery. We delivered the curriculum in three tiers. Tier 1 was for age 5 to 9, tier 2 was for age 10 to 13, and then tier 3 for ages 14 to 18. These tiers included worksheets, content, and activities that was age appropriate for them, as we wanted to situate all of these in Pakistani cultural context. We didn't want to use any wording that was not age appropriate. So our reach was cross sectorial as well: public schools, private institutions, cadet colleges, government institutions, universities, and even orphanages as well. So we engaged educators across multiple cities: Rawalpindi, Lahore, Karachi, Quetta, Sawar, Larkana, and Murray, and so on. So this diversity was intentional. We needed to test the curriculum in real Pakistani conditions in multiple provinces, not just the ideal ones. Next slide, please, sir. So the before I share my findings, these are just the glimpses of the educators and students who participated in this research. And next slide, please, sir. These are some of the schools.
Can we move on to your findings, please, because you are
Yes,
sort of
sir.
here at the 8-minute mark.
Yes, sir. I'd like to give my co-PI, the mic for that.
When we initiated our implementation process, first we targeted our educators, and in doing so, we had some meetings with them in person, and online we had FGDs. We conducted surveys. We asked them to fill Google forms, and if you look at the numbers, we find out that 64.7% of educators claimed that they had prior knowledge about consent education. And when we dig deep into it, we had more discussions with them. We saw that their knowledge about consent education was only limited to the understanding of the problem and not of the solution, and it was highly influenced by Western interpretations too. 50% had taught basic physical safety to the kids. Most of them were doing it on their own, and only 7% had ever discussed reporting mechanism, which was the limitation. So now if we look at the paradox, then we will see that 82.4% of the educators, they rated that consent education is very important. It's extremely important, and we shared our agenda with them, that what we are doing, what we are planning to achieve. So after listening to it, they said 82% educators said that that this is important, this is extremely important, and only 35.3% were very prepared to handle a student disclosure of abuse. So 82% believe it matters, and 35% feel ready to act on that belief. That is a massive gap. So and when we asked about challenges, 56% cited lack of training and confidence gap, and 50% anticipated cultural taboos, 39% expected parental resistance. So that's why when we developed our curriculum further, we provided with parental guides, so that along with kids, we are also kind of explaining these things to the parents. We also designed a guide for the teachers, because they are lacking in their training, so we are providing them support through those guides. Now let me share what happened when we actually delivered the curriculum. This is where the data gets exciting. And look at the engagement pattern across age tiers. Tier 2 students ages 10 to 13 showed the highest engagement of all three groups. This is what we call development sweet spot. Early adolescence is the optimal window for consent education. These students are old enough to grasp the concept like body autonomy and digital consent, but they are also young enough that harmful patterns haven't become entrenched. They are actively boundary testing, they are entering digital spaces, and they are also hungry for the guidance. But here what matters, student, they were asking these questions: can we say no to the elders? Does silence with a smile mean consent? What if my friend is being pressured online? This curriculum created the safe space for these questions to emerge, and this is progress. Next slide, please. So these the numbers that are shown on the screen, these are like we collected data. Our team of psychologists, they worked on it. They generated these numbers, and this shows their interest, their participation, and confidence, the level of understanding they developed after exposing themselves to this curriculum. Next slide, please. Next, sir. Yes. So our students, our learners, they were exposed to three types of concept: high acquisition concepts. They were about bodily autonomy, safe versus unsafe touch, basic physical personal space boundaries, and we achieved 85% mastery across all tiers. Then we have moderate acquisition concepts, digital. This include digital boundaries, online safety, identifying peer pressure, required rehearsal and practice. Students understood the ideas, but applying them in real scenarios needed scaffolding. For example, if I give you an example, a student could tell you what digital privacy means, but when we presented a scenario about peer pressure to share a photo, many struggle to articulate a response beyond, I would just say no. This tells us we need more role play, more scenario practice, more guided rehearsals. Then we had low acquisition concepts, in which we have affirmative and ongoing consent, bystanders intervention, navigating consent with authoritative with the elders requires systematic scaffolding, and these are the concepts that challenge deep cultural patterns. So here's a strategic takeaway: basic boundary setting is rapidly adopted. Students get it, they want it, but navigating complex power dynamics like that requires deeper, ongoing, systematic education. And one workshop was not enough for them. Next slide, please. Next. Okay, so now let me turn to the third research question: systematic viability. So the question is, can this curriculum actually scale across Pakistan? And the answer is yes, but only if we address what I will call the relevance implementation paradox. So here's the paradox in one sentence: everyone agrees that this is important, almost no one is prepared to implement it. We saw this across every institution we work with. Private school administrators would say, yes, this is crucial for our students, but when we asked about budget allocation for training or materials, the answer was no. Government school officials would say, we need this, but when we asked about policy support or scheduling, the answer was, we can't move without a mandate from above. So the relevance is universal, the readiness to implement is fragmented, inconsistent, and entirely dependent on individual champions rather than systematic support. This paradox is the single greatest barrier to scaling consent education in Pakistan, and cannot be solved by better curriculum design or more passionate educators. It requires policy. The specific implementation challenges we encountered, broken down by age tier. Next slide, please, sir. Yes. So first one is student shyness and hesitation. It was highest in tier 2 at 83%, because that's the age when self-consciousness peaks, when peer dynamics become more complex, when cultural message about not talking about such things are most intensely internalized. Then we had teachers discomfort, which was very astonishing for us, because and it affected 37% of classroom overall. Like, teachers were asking, how do I explain these concepts to the kids? What word do I use for body parts? This tells us that teachers training must be tier specific. What works for adolescents is very different from what works for early learners. Then we also had few sensitive reactions. Students becoming upset, tearful, and withdrawn occurred in 32% of classes overall. This means that they have already experienced it. We had a team of psychologists with us to handle such issues, to address them, and we also address them through our curriculum. Afterwards, we added these things into it. And we
I'm
have
sorry, but you have exceeded your allotted time. So could you wind it down in 30 seconds, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna wind it up. So we also had resource limitations. We were not provided a resource by any institutions. Next slide, please. Uh, next, sir. So and here is the single most important finding from this entire study I want you to hear. Regardless of curriculum quality, regardless of evidence, regardless of student need, the absolute lack of top down policy mandate paralyzed the widespread adoptions. And now I will ask Ms. Umer.
I see a few hands. Yasir Jawad Saab and Ma'am Humaira Zia Mufti. Can I start with Ma'am Humaira Zia, please?
ओके थैंक यू. अभी मैं तो क्विकली ये उमेर ओमान ने जो भी किया ये कंसेंट वाला इंटरेस्टिंग स्टडी है. मुझे सिर्फ एक कंसर्न है कि इसकी आपने एथिकल अप्रूवल्स होती हैं आपकी जब इस तरह का सेंसिटिव टॉपिक हो. बिकॉज व्हाट आई एम वंडरिंग इज दैट व्हेन यू आर इंटरव्यूइंग किड्स ऑफ दिस एज एंड यू आर आस्किंग पर्सनलाइज्ड क्वेश्चन, तो इसको आप कैसे देखते हैं? बिकॉज जब हम बाहर कोई रिसर्च कर रही थी, व्हेन आई वाज डूइंग रिसर्च एट किंग्स कॉलेज, आई हैड टू टेक स्पेसिफिक परमिशन. एक तो ये. दूसरा, अभी इनकी स्टडी से मुझे ये समझ नहीं आया कि कोई इंस्टीट्यूशनल सेफ गार्ड्स को इन्होंने एनालाइज किया विच आर इन प्लेस इन एट दी स्कूल्स इन हायर एजुकेशन, नॉट हायर एजुकेशन, जो 5 years to 18 years के बच्चों का एनालिसिस करें. वहाँ के कोई इंस्टीट्यूशनल सेफ गार्ड्स हैं उन स्कूल्स के अंदर, कोई एथिकल प्रोटोकॉल्स हैं और चाइल्ड प्रोटेक्शन मैकेनिज्म हैं, कोई रेफरल पाथवेज हैं जो कि इन्होंने देखे वहाँ पे. क्योंकि जब आप करिकुलम रिफॉर्म की बात करते हैं तो इस टाइप की जहाँ एटमॉस्फेयर होता है, जहाँ बच्चों को कंसेंट पढ़ाई जा रही है या उससे रेलेवेंट चाइल्ड अब्यूज स्पेसिफिक इंफॉर्मेशन हो, तो वहाँ पे उनके और मैकेनिज्म्स क्या हैं इन प्लेस अपार्ट फ्रॉम द करिकुलम. एक तो मेरा ये सवाल कि इन्होंने अपनी रिसर्च में एड्रेस मुझे नहीं नजर आया. दूसरा, अभी ये है कि क्या ये जो एक तो इनसे योमे रोमान से और एक और मेरा था क्वेश्चन रिलेटेड टू, जस्ट 1 minute, एक वो जो किया था अभी प्रेजेंट किया इन्होंने एजुकेशन एंड
वकास सिद्रा और वकास ने भी किया था.
हाँ सिद्रा, हाँ ये एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी का जो था उसका, वो बड़ी एक इंटरेस्टिंग स्टडी थी. तो हाँ उसमें मैं
डेविड पाल्मा ने
I'm Ijaz जी, Ijaz Ahmed.
हाँ इजाज साहब की थी, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. उसमें उन्होंने एक कहा कि ये हायर एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं और इसमें जो है वो जो स्किल्स, वो जो एजुकेशन दी जा रही है उसकी कंपैटिबिलिटी नहीं है विद द इंडस्ट्री आउटसाइड और मार्केट एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी के साथ. उसमें मैं ये देख रही थी कि जो उनका सर्वे है वो इस्लामाबाद बेस्ड ही है, और उसको कैसे पाकिस्तान के ऊपर वो पूरी जो फाइंडिंग्स है आप अप्लाई कर रहे हैं. और दूसरा उसमें एक और चीज थी कि अनएम्प्लॉयबिलिटी जो है वो, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट जो है वो एक फिनोमेना ऐसा है जिसके अदर रीजंस भी हैं, जैसे लिमिटेड जॉब क्रिएशन है, या आपकी इकोनॉमी इस वक्त इतनी डेवलप नहीं कर रही या ग्रो नहीं कर रही, लेबर मार्केट इनफॉर्मेलिटी है, इकोनॉमिक स्टैग्नेशन है. हाउ आर यू अकाउंटिंग फॉर दैट? क्योंकि उसका भी एक बड़ा रोल है इन अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट, नॉट जस्ट दैट व्हाट इज बीइंग टॉट एट द स्कूल्स, और ये मार्केटेबल स्किल सिखाई जा रही हैं या नहीं. तो इसको आपने कैसे अपनी स्टडी में हैंडल किया? दूसरा, मुझे आपका जो सर्वे है वो इतना रिप्रेजेंटेटिव नहीं लगा. Then there was another very interesting study on the tax. उसमें मुझे ये था कि कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं जो कि बिलीव ही नहीं करते कि टैक्स देना चाहिए. तो आप उसको कैसे एज्यूम कर सकते हैं, कैसे आप डिस्टिंग्विश करेंगे कि this is the lot who already don't believe in paying the tax, and then you justify that because trust deficit, and that's why they don't believe in the state institutions, and that's why they don't want to pay the tax. और उसमें एक और बड़ी एक sensitive चीज मुझे नजर आई कि the moral justification for not paying tax, I think it should be उसके साथ आप बताएं कि what are the reasons that the citizens feel justified for not paying the tax. वो मुझे weakness नजर आई है उस रिपोर्ट में. तो मेरी ये observations थी तीन. I can submit them in writing as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll go on to Yasir Jawad Saab, who is next in line.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम. मेरा क्वेश्चन है, ये जो हमारी गवर्नेंस वाली स्टडी थी, ट्रस्ट इन स्टेट एंड पॉलिटिक्स, अलवीना सबा अदरीस की, मैंने इनका वेरिएबल कंस्ट्रक्शन देखा है. इन्होंने ट्रस्ट इन स्टेट इंस्टीट्यूशन में आर्मी, पुलिस, कोर्ट, पार्लियामेंट, सिविल सर्विस सब कुछ डाल दिए. बहुत अच्छा वेरिएबल बन गया. नेक्स्ट इनका वेरिएबल पॉलिटिकल ट्रस्ट पे है. वो वेरिएबल काफ़ी से ज़्यादा हौच पौच है लग रहा है मुझे. उसमें पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज हैं, उसमें इलेक्शन है, उसमें वोट काउंटिंग है, उसमें इलेक्शन ऑफिशियल्स है. تو میرا میجر کنسرن یہ ہے کہ الیکشن کمیشن کو اسٹیٹ انسٹیٹیوشنز کے ساتھ کیوں نہیں گنا گیا، اس کو پولیٹیکل ٹرسٹ کے ویریبل میں ایڈ کر دینا کا کیا ریزن ہے، اور الیکشن اور پالیٹکس کو اکٹھا کر کے ایک پولیٹیکل ٹرسٹ کا ویریبل بنا دینا بھی بہت سے زیادہ اوور لیپنگ ہے. جی بس یہ کوشچن تھے.
نیکسٹ کوشچن بائی شیراز مصطفیٰ صاحب.
السلام علیکم جی، میرا ایک تو سوال، دو سوال ہیں فرام دا پریزنٹیشن دیٹ واز انکلوژن آف نیورو ڈائیورس ینگ ایڈلٹس ان ہائر ایجوکیشن. اس میں اگر آپ دیکھیں یہ جو پالیسی بریف ہے یہ کیسے اسٹیبلش کرتا ہے دا لنک بٹوین فیکلٹی نالج ڈیفیسٹس جو ہوتے ہیں اینڈ اباؤٹ آٹزم اسپیکٹرم ڈس آرڈر اینڈ دا براڈر انسٹیٹیوشنل ایکسکلوژن آف نیورو ڈائیورس ینگ ایڈلٹس ان ہائر ایجوکیشن. پہلا سوال تو یہ ہے، پلیز پٹ سم لائٹ آن اٹ. اور دوسرا سوال وچ آئی ووڈ لائک ٹو آسک ہے، وائی ڈز دس جو آپ نے بریف کیا ہے یہ کیا ریکمینڈ کرتا ہے، کیوں کرتا ہے دا لنکنگ ایچ ای سی accreditation and the funding of faculty training compliance, and how could this enforcement mechanism transform inclusive education from stated right into institutional practice. یہ سوال ہے. اور ایک اور جو پریزنٹیشن سے میں نے سوال نوٹ ڈاؤن کیا، دیٹ از فرام دا گریجویٹس لوور امپلائبلٹی ان پاکستان والی سے. اس میں مجھے تھوڑا سا یہ بتائیے کہ وائی ڈو ایڈوانسڈ انالیٹیکل کمپیٹنسیز سچ ایز پرابلم سالونگ, creative and critical thinking, and advanced data analysis emerge as stronger predictors of employability than the basic digital skills or internship experiences. جی یہ سوال ہے. تھینک یو.
Thank you very much for those excellent questions. Fahim Saab and the other colleagues, should I allow the participants to respond to these
جی
questions
سر.
and then give
جی
my
جی سر،
comments as
کانفرنس ہے.
discussant?
anyone can ask question. جی پلیز الاؤ کریں.
No, they have all asked the questions, but I'm saying should the discussant give his comments after the answers to those questions?
نہیں سر، میرا خیال ہے آپ پہلے دے دیں، اس کے بعد الاؤ کریں ان کو، تاکہ وہ اکٹھا پھر جواب دیں.
ٹھیک ہے. تو I will give my comments briefly because time ہمارے پاس جو ہے وہ بہت کم ہے. اس میں دیکھیں جو ڈیوڈ پالما اور ان کی جو اسٹڈی تھی آن گریجویٹ امپلائبلٹی، اور اس میں دو تین ایشوز ہیں. آلتو اٹس این ایکسلنٹ اسٹڈی. اس میں ایشو ایک تو یہ ہے کہ وہ کیونکہ یہ پرسیپشن بیس سروے ہے، میرے خیال زاہد اسکر صاحب نے بھی اس پہ پوائنٹ آؤٹ کیا ہے. تو کیا ڈو دے ریئلی بلیو، یعنی وہ جو جن سے آپ نے یہ سروے یا اوپینین کیا ہے وہ ایکچولی بلیو کرتے ہیں، وہ ایکچولی لوگوں کو اس بنیاد پہ ہی ریکروٹ کرتے ہیں؟ کیونکہ یہ تو بمپر اسٹکر آئٹم ہے، دیز آر بمپر اسٹکر آئٹمس جو ہر جگہ کہتے ہیں کہ جی ہمیں اس طرح کا گریجویٹ چاہیے، ہمیں اس طرح کا گریجویٹ چاہیے، اور جب وہ لوگ اپلائی کرتے ہیں تو پتہ چلتا ہے کہ اصل بات تو نیٹ ورکنگ اور ان چیزوں دوسری چیزوں پر گئی، یعنی جا کر رکی تھی. اسی طرح جو اگر ہم پرابلم سالونگ کی بات کریں تو کیا ہمارے اگر ایک اس کا کنکلوژن یہ نکلتا ہے کہ پرابلم سالونگ اسکلز جو ہے نا وہ ضروری ہے، تو کیا ہماری یونیورسٹیز میں اس کے اوپر کوئی خاص توجہ بھی دی جاتی ہے یا نہیں پرابلم سالونگ کے اوپر، یا وہ ہمارا زیادہ تر وہ لیکچر بیسڈ ہے، اور اس میں جو پرابلم سالونگ کے ایون انجینئرنگ میں جو ماڈل پروجیکٹ دیے جاتے ہیں وہ روٹ قسم کے پروجیکٹ ہوتے ہیں جن میں انہوں نے کچھ جو ہے نا وہ کھانے فل کرنے ہوتے ہیں، اینڈ اٹس ناٹ ریئلی اے جینونلی ناٹی پرابلم ایز ان KNOTY ناٹی پرابلم، جس کو انہوں نے کسی چار اینگل سے دیکھنا ہے اور اس کو جو ہے نا وہ سارٹ آؤٹ کرنا ہے. پھر ہم آتے ہیں ان کی طرف جو پہلے ہوا تھا جو اسپیشل ایجوکیشن اور اسپیشل نیڈس جو چلڈرن کے حوالے سے جو پریزنٹیشن تھی، میرا خیال وقاص صاحب کی تھی. تو اس میں میں یہ جاننا چاہتا ہوں کہ سب سے پہلے تو یہ ہے کہ کیا وہ جو اسکولز ہیں، کیا وہ جو سیکٹر ہے اس کا ان کی کوئی پریورٹی بھی ہے، یعنی کیا وہ جو ٹیچرز ہیں اور وہ ہیں وہ ان کا کوئی موٹیویشن لیول بھی ہے؟ کیونکہ آپ نے تو سارا وہ آڈٹ بیسڈ اپروچ لیا ہے، وہ آپ نے ایک چیز کا آڈٹ کیا، پھر آپ نے جا کر دوسرے چیز کا آڈٹ کیا، اور یہ بہت کامن اپروچ ہے یہ انڈر نیو پبلک مینجمنٹ کے، جو ہے ہر چیز کا جا کے سوشل ہر چیز کا آڈٹ کر دو، سوشل آڈٹ کر دو، اسکول آڈٹ کر دو، فلانا آڈٹ کر دو. اٹ ڈزنٹ نیسسرلی لیڈ اس ٹو دی ریئل ڈرائیورس behind adoption or non adoption of these things. جو مجھے زیادہ اہم لگتا ہے اس میں کہ جو لیول آف کمٹمنٹ ہے فرام دا بیوروکریسی اور فرام دا وٹ ایور ریلیونٹ آرم آف دی پبلک representative is, as well as the heads of those institutions, وہ where does that stand and how does that affect. تیسرا اس کا ریلیٹڈ ایک چیز یہ کہ آپ نے جو تھیوریٹیکل پیراڈائم اس کا کیا ہے وہ اٹ اپیئرز اے ہاچ پاچ آف سو مینی ڈفرینٹ تھیوریز. سو اٹس ناٹ کلیئر ٹو اس جو آپ کا جو کنسیپچول فریم ورک ہے کہ ویئر از اٹ یعنی واٹس اٹس پرائمری فوکس بیکاز آپ نے کوئی 3-4 قسم کی تھیوریز جو ہے نا اس میں وہ لائی ہیں، اور اس میں کوئی اس کا کلیئر سنتھسس نظر نہیں آ رہا آپ کے کنکلوژنس میں. تو آئی وڈ وانٹ ٹو سورٹ آف ہیئر مور فرام دیٹ. پھر جو آٹسٹک چلڈرن کے بارے میں جو آٹزم اسپیکٹرم ڈس آرڈر کے بارے میں کی تھی، آئی تھنک اٹس این امپورٹنٹ اسٹڈی. یہ ایک ٹریسر یا ایک بگنر اسٹڈی ہے ہمارا. ون آف دا ریزنز آئی تھنک جب ہم ریک میں اس کو ڈسکس بھی کر رہے تھے کہ پارٹ آف دا پرپز واز ٹو برنگ دس ایشو آن ٹو دا ایجنڈا. لیکن اس میں جو سولوشن یا ریکمنڈیشن جو پرووائڈ کیے گئے تھے وہ مجھے کافی ویک لگ رہے تھے، ان دا سینس کہ کیا مطلب ہمیں کیا یہ ضرورت نہیں ہے کہ ہم کوئی ریسورس سینٹر اسٹیبلش کریں جو آٹزم سے ریلیٹڈ، چاہے وہ پیرنٹس ہوں چاہے وہ جو ہے ٹیچرز ہوں، تو ان کو اپروچ کر سکیں اس کو. کیونکہ جو نارمل اسکول کا جو وہ ہوگا اس میں تو میں نے دیکھا ہے کہ وہ ایون اس آٹزم ان کو تو چھوڑ دے، وہ نارمل اسٹوڈنٹس کے جو مسئلے ہوتے ہیں ان کو ہی اٹینڈ نہیں کر پاتے اس طریقے سے جس طریقے سے کرنا چاہیے. تو یہ توقع کرنا کہ ان اسکولوں میں جو ہم کوئی چیزیں سیٹ اپ کریں گے یا ایڈ کریں گے تو اس کو وہ کوئی پراپرلی یعنی اس طریقے سے امپلیمنٹ کر پائیں گے، میرا خیال ہے دیٹ وڈ بی سیٹنگ اپ اے ویری ہائی بار. اس کے لیے ہمیں کچھ ڈیڈیکیٹڈ ریسورس سینٹر بھی اسٹیبلش کرنے ہوں گے آؤٹ سائڈ آف دا اسکولس، جہاں پہ پیرنٹس، جنرل سوسائٹی، کوئی بھی بندہ ہے جو اس چیز سے افیکٹڈ ہے وہ جائے اور کوئی گائیڈنس اس سے سیکھ کر سکے. تو یہ میری اچھا. اسی طرح پھر جو الوینا صبا صاحبہ نے جو کیا ہے اس کے بارے میں میری رائے یہ ہے کہ وہ بھی تھوڑا سا وہ ان سم ویز وہ اٹ از اسکریچنگ دا سرفیس آف دا ایشو، کیونکہ اس میں انہوں نے جو سوشل اسٹریٹیفیکیشن کا ہے، جو کلاس کا ایشو ہے، اس کو تو انہوں نے ایڈریس ہی نہیں کیا. بات یہ ہے کہ جو کسی بھی اس کے اوپر سسٹم کے اوپر ٹرسٹ ہوتا ہے وہ اس چیز کی بنیاد پر ہوتا ہے کہ وہ جو کلاس ہے اس کے اس سسٹم میں کتنے اسٹیکس ہیں، وہ سسٹم کس حد تک اس کلاس کو انکلوڈ یا ایکسکلوڈ کرتا ہے. اگر نیو یارک کی ہم بات کریں تو جو نیو یارک ایوریج نیو یارکر ہے جو مڈل کلاس ہے اور جس کی کوئی نوکری شوکری ہے اچھی، تو وہ تو شاید سسٹم کو ٹرسٹ کر لے، لیکن وہ جو ہارلم میں یا کوئنز میں جو ہے نا وہ بلیک افریقن امریکن پھر رہا ہے وہ تو اس کو بالکل ٹرسٹ نہیں کرے گا، وہ تو چوری بھی کرے گا، وہ جو ہے نا وہ کھڑکیاں بھی توڑے گا، وہ ساری چیزیں کرے گا. اسی طرح ہمارے جو کراچی میں ہے تو ادھر جو لیاری کا جو بندہ ہے وہ ہو سکتا ہے گلشن اقبال کے جو مڈل کلاس اردو والے ہیں وہ تھوڑا بہت اس کو ٹرسٹ کریں، تھوڑے بہت رولز کو فالو کر لیں، حالانکہ ادھر بھی سسٹم ٹرینڈ چینج ہو چکا ہے وہ یعنی لیکن جو لیاری کا جو ورکنگ کلاس بلوچ ہے میرا نہیں خیال اس کو سسٹم سے کوئی بھی توقع ہے. آئی ڈونٹ تھنک وہ یہ توقع کرتا ہے کہ وہ پولیس کے پاس جائے گا تو اس کو کوئی ریلیف ملنے والا ہے. تو ان چیزوں کو جو ایتھنک اور کلاس بیسڈ جو ڈائمنشن ہے، اور اس وقت ہم دیکھ رہے ہیں یہی چیز اسلام آباد میں ہو رہی ہے. اسلام آباد کی ڈیموگرافک کمپوزیشن چینج ہو رہی ہے. تو وہ جو پہلے والا نیٹ اینڈ کلین اسلام آباد ہوتا تھا، اب وہ ایک ڈسرے میں لگتا ہے. روڈ پہ بھی وائلیشن ہو رہی ہے، سب کچھ ہو سو ایک طرح سے جو ہیوز اینڈ ہیوز ناٹ میں جو ایک فرق ہے ویزا وی رسپونڈنگ ٹو دا سسٹم، کیا اس کو بھی آپ نے انکارپوریٹ کرنے کی کوشش کی ہے؟ کیونکہ وہ مجھے آپ کی اسٹڈی میں نظر نہیں آ رہا. یہ سمپلی وہ ورلڈ بینک والا جو یا کچھ ہماری انٹرنیشنل آرگنائزیشنز ہیں، انہوں نے کچھ اسکیلز بنائی ہوئی ہیں، اور آپ نے ان اسکیلز کے ساتھ بظاہر لگتا یہ ہے کہ اس کو اسٹڈی کیا ہے کہ ٹرسٹ کا لیول جو ہے نا وہ کیا ہے. جبکہ جو پاکستان کے زمینی حقائق ہیں وہ شاید اس سے کہیں زیادہ کمپلیکسٹی ہیں، اور آپ کے ماڈل میں وہ کمپلیکسٹی مجھے اس طرح سے نظر نہیں آئی. تو یہ میرے کمنٹس ہیں. ناؤ اٹس اوور ٹو دا پریزنٹرز ٹو رسپونڈ.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Sir, thank you so much for your valuable suggestions. So actually I've incorporated this suggestion جو کہ آپ نے ریسورس سینٹر کی بات کی ہے، وہ آگے پالیسیز میں کچھ جگہوں پہ میں نے مینشن کیا ہوا ہے، اسپیشلی جو ان کی ٹرانزیشنز ہیں ڈفرینٹ فرام کالج ٹو یونیورسٹی، اس کے لیے کہ کس طرح کے ریسورس سینٹرز جو ہیں وہ ہیلپ فل ہو سکتے ہیں. سیکنڈ سر، دیر آر ریسورس سینٹرز کچھ گورنمنٹ نے ابھی ریسنٹلی اوپن کیے، جیسے اسلام آباد میں ایک ہے آٹزم سینٹر. اب جیسا میں نے کہا تھا کہ اگر مجھے ٹائم ملا تو آئی ڈسکس اباؤٹ اٹ، جہاں سے میں نے انٹرویوز کیے ہیں. ایک اور ریسورس سینٹر پنجاب کے لیے اوپن ہوا ہے لاہور میں دسمبر میں. اس کا ایکچولی میرے پاس جو ڈیٹا تھا وہ مارچ میں آن لائن کچھ آیا، انہوں نے ایک ایکٹ پرووائڈ کیے. بٹ کیونکہ میں نے کچھ جو اسلام آباد والا ہے اس کو میں نے خود وزٹ کیا تھا، تو وہاں پہ اٹ از پریزنٹ، بٹ وہاں کے پرنسپلس باقی جو میں نے انٹرویوز کیے وہاں سے مجھے پتا چلا کہ ہارڈلی وہاں پہ کوئی سائیکالوجسٹ ہے. وہاں پہ میڈیکل ڈاکٹرز ہیں اور دے نیڈ ٹریننگز ان آل آف دیز اسیسمنٹ. اس لیے میں نے ملٹی ڈسپلنری ڈائگنوسس کے اوپر بھی اپنے رائٹ اپ میں بھی مینشن کیا ہے، کیونکہ یہ صرف ایک سنگل انڈیویجول نہیں ڈائگنوز کر سکتا آٹزم اسپیشلی. اس میں ملٹی ڈسپلنری چاہیے ہوتا ہے، ڈفرینٹ چیزیں اس میں چاہیے ہوتی ہیں. تو آئی ڈیڈ مینشن ان مائی پالیسی بریف ایز ویل. اور ان کی جو سینٹرز گورنمنٹ نے بھی اوپن کیے ہیں، ان کی جو پرابلمس ہیں وہ بھی کچھ جگہوں پہ میں نے مینشن ضرور کیے ہیں. سو بٹ اسٹل آئی ٹرائی کہ میں اس کو تھوڑا اور ڈیٹیل میں جس سے آپ نے مینشن کیا ہے وہ میں اس میں انکارپوریٹ کر دوں. سیکنڈ جو کوشچن سر نے مجھ سے پوچھا تھا، آئی گیس شیراز صاحب نے کوشچن
میں مریم نے بھی آپ سے پوچھا تھا اس کے بارے میں کہ وہ پروٹوکولز فالو ہوئے ہیں یا نہیں، کیونکہ دیز آر ولنریبل چلڈرن.
تو مجھ سے نہیں پوچھا، وہ انہوں نے آئی تھنک دوسرے تھے رومانہ. میں نے تو خیر سر نسٹ کے ہماری ایتھیکل بورڈ ہے، میں نے اس سے سارے پروٹوکولز اپروو کروائے ہیں، اینڈ آئی ڈیڈ مینشن ان دا پریزنٹیشن ایز ویل. سو شیراز صاحب کا جو کوشچن تھا اس میں یہ تھا کہ ہم ٹیچرس ٹریننگ کیوں کریں. سر میں نے جتنے انٹرویوز اور کیونکہ میں نے سارے ایریاز کو کور کرنے کی کوشش کی ہے تاکہ گراؤنڈ ریالٹی پتہ چل سکے، تو اس میں ایون جو اسپیشل ایجوکیشن کی ٹیچر ہیں انہوں نے بھی مینشن کیا کہ دیر از اے ڈسکنیکٹ بٹوین دا پالیسی اینڈ دا گراؤنڈ لیول پہ جو امپلیمنٹ کرتے ہیں وہ ٹیچرس اور امپلائیز ہیں، کیونکہ ان کا ڈائریکٹ کانٹیکٹ ہوتا ہے. اگر ان کے پاس اویئرنیس اور انڈرسٹینڈنگ نہیں ہے تو وہ یہ ساری چیزیں امپلیمنٹ نہیں کر سکتے، کیونکہ اسٹوڈنٹ کا کانٹیکٹ پالیسی میکر کے ساتھ نہیں ہے، اسٹوڈنٹ کا کانٹیکٹ ٹیچرس کے ساتھ ہے. تو اگر انہیں اکاموڈیشن چاہیے تو وہ اپنے کورس کی ٹیچر سے کانٹیکٹ کریں گے. اف دے آر ناٹ اویئر تو وہاں پہ کہیں نہ کہیں پرابلمس آتی ہیں. سو دیٹ از ون آف دا تھنگ جو کہ میں نے ڈفرینٹ ماڈریٹ سے لے کر ہائی کاسٹ تک کی کچھ سولوشنس جو ہیں وہ پریزنٹ کیے ہیں. آئی گیس آئی ایم ایبل ٹو آنسر دا کوشچنس.
Thank you. We can move on next to Alvina Sabah صاحبہ.
جی، یہ پہلا جو سوال تھا وہ یہ تھا کہ اس میں ایک ایسی کیٹیگری بھی ہوگی ریسپونڈنٹس کی جو یہ کہتے ہیں کہ ٹیکس دینا ہی نہیں چاہتے. تو اگر ہم اپنا یہ رسپانس ویریبل دیکھیں تو وہ یہ تھا کہ ہاؤ مچ پیپل سپورٹ اور جسٹیفائی دی ٹیکس چیٹنگ بیہیویئر اف دے گیٹ اے چانس ٹو نان کمپلائنس. تو وہ جو ہماری میجرمنٹ ویریبل ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ کیا وہ جسٹیفائیبل ہے، اگر ان کو چانس ملتا ہے تو کیا وہ ٹیکس چیٹنگ کریں گے کہ نہیں کریں گے. اور دوسرا وٹ از دی جسٹیفیکیشن کہ اگر لوگ جو ہیں وہ ٹیکس پے نہیں کرنا چاہتے. تو وٹ وی ہیو آبزرو جب ہم نے اس کو فوکس گروپ ڈسکشنز یا کی انفارمنگ انٹرویوز سے دیکھا تو اس میں یہ پتہ چلا ہے کہ وٹ پیپل وانٹ از دی پرنسپل آف ٹیکس بینیفٹ. دے وانٹ ویزیبل بینیفٹ، اور ان ریٹرن کہ وہ جو ٹیکس دے رہے ہیں تو کمیونٹی لیول پہ، لوکل لیول پہ وٹ کائنڈ آف دا سروس ڈلیوری دیٹ دے آر گیٹنگ. اور اس کے ساتھ اگر دے وزٹ دی گورنمنٹ آفیسز کو وزٹ کرتے ہیں تو وہاں پہ جو پروسیجرل ڈیلیز ہیں اور جو رسپانس آف دی گورنمنٹ آفیشلس ہے دے وانٹ کہ اس میں تھوڑی سی امپروومنٹ ہو, یعنی کہ ان ریٹرن دے وانٹ دا ویزیبل بینیفٹس ایٹ کمیونٹی لیول, ایٹ لوکل لیول. تو اگر ڈیلیز آ رہے ہیں تو وٹ دے سے از کہ وہ پھر دے گو فار دا شارٹ کٹ, جس میں وہ خود سے چینلائز کرتے ہیں انفارمل وے, جس سے وہ ایکسپیڈائٹ کر سکیں اپنے پروسیجرز کو. تو اس سے کیا ہے کہ اٹ از فردر جو ٹرسٹ بلڈنگ ہے وہ فردر ڈیٹیریوریٹ ہو رہی ہے آن دی گورنمنٹ آفیسز. ایک تو یہ تھا, اور دوسرا سوال ایک اور یہ تھا کہ وائی وی ہیو ناٹ کنسیڈرڈ دی ویریبلس انڈر دی پولیٹیکل ٹرسٹ, اس کو ہم نے اس میں کیوں نہیں مرج کیا جو کہ ہمارے انسٹیٹیوشنل ویریبلس ہیں. تو اس کے پیچھے ریزن یہ تھا کہ ہم نے پولیٹیکل ٹرسٹ کو علیحدہ اس لیے رکھا ہے کہ جو ہم نے میجر انسٹیٹیوشنس لیے ہیں انڈر دا انسٹیٹیوشنل ٹرسٹ کیٹیگری, وہ لا میکنگ کے لیے یا وہ انسٹیٹیوشنس لیے ہیں جو کہ سروس پروویژن ڈلیوری میں ہیلپ آؤٹ کر رہے ہیں یا رول پلے کر رہے ہیں. جو پولیٹیکل ٹرسٹ ہے اس میں ہم نے اس کو دو کیٹیگرائز میں ڈیوائڈ کیا, جس میں ہمارا ایک تو یہ تھا کہ ٹرسٹ آن دی الیکٹورل پروسیس اور دوسرا ٹرسٹ ان دی پولیٹیکل پارٹیز. تو اس لیے ہم نے اس کو علیحدہ سے کنسیڈر کیا ہے فرام دی ادر انسٹیٹیوشنس جہاں پہ وہ صرف لا میکنگ آ گئی یا سروس ڈلیوری آ گئی ہے. اینڈ جو تھرڈ سوال تھا وہ یہ تھا کہ سوشل اسٹریٹیفیکیشن کا. یس, یہ ایک لمیٹیشن ہمیں ملی اپنے اسٹڈی کے اندر کہ ہم نے ایتھیکل ایسپیکٹ نہیں دیکھا, یا ڈفرنس بٹوین دا ہیوز اینڈ دا ہیو ناٹ بین کنسیڈرڈ. ہمارا جو ڈیٹا تھا اس میں وی ٹرائی ٹو ایکسٹریکٹ کہ ہمیں کوئی ایسا ویریبل مل جائے, لیکن پھر اب اس کا وے آؤٹ ہم نے یہ نکالا کہ ہم نے اس کے اندر جو سوشو اکنامک انسیکیورٹیز ہیں وہ ویریبل جو ہے وہ ایڈ ان کر دیا تھا, تاکہ وہ انڈائریکٹلی میئر کرے کہ کس طریقے سے دا سوشو اکنامک انسیکیورٹیز لیڈ ٹو ٹرسٹ ڈیفیسٹ, یا وہ انفارمل سیوک انگیجمنٹ میں جو ہے پارٹیسپیشن وہ کامن مین کی انکریز ہوتی ہے, اور وہ کس طریقے سے دین فردر نان کمپلائنس بیہیویئر کی طرف لے کے جاتے ہیں. سو دس از مائی ریسپانس ٹو دی کوشچنس.
میں آپ کے چیئر کی پرمیشن سے ایڈ کرنا چاہوں گا آپ کے لیے مس الوینا, کہ اس پہ اس کا ایک ہسٹوریکل ڈائمنشن بھی پلیز ضرور دیکھیں کہ جو ہے اپ ٹو دا 1970s اسٹیٹ کے پاس کیپیسٹی تھی جو ہے نا وہ واٹر سپلائی, پولیسنگ, ٹریفک پولیس کا نظام اور وہ ساری چیزیں کرتی تھی. یہ بوتھ پاکستان اینڈ انڈیا کے بھی بڑے شہروں میں یہ ہوا, بمبے میں ہوا, کلکتے میں ہوا, ہمارے پاس کراچی میں ہوا, کہ پیپل اسٹاپ ٹرسٹنگ دا اسٹیٹ ٹو ڈیلیور سرٹن تھنگس, ویدر دیٹ واز کلین واٹر, whether that was controlling the traffic, whether that was sort of a جو FIR کی جو ہے نا ایک پراپر جو آپ نے بات کی تھی شاید پروسیجرل فیئرنیس کی یا اس کی, ٹھیک ہے, اس کی. تو پھر اس کے نتیجے میں ان جو ہے نا وہاں MQM کا رائز ہوا, اس کے نتیجے میں جو ہے وہاں پہ وہ بال ٹھاکرے والے جو ہیں وہ جو مراٹھی موومنٹ ہے ان کا رائز ہوا, اور وہ جو اینگری ینگ مین جو ہمارے 80s کی فلموں میں بھی آپ کو نظر آتا ہے جو کہ جو ہے نا کسی کی بات نہیں سنتا اور جا کر پولیس والے کو گلے سے پکڑ لیتا ہے سو دیٹ کائنڈ آف دیٹ فینومینا ایمرجڈ so there is also there is a historical dimension to it of state gradually either losing or willingly giving away its terrain to these non-state actors which basically gives a message to the public they really don't have to waste their time with following the law or other such things. So now over to I think Umair Umam. I think Umair Umam.
یس سر, میرا آئی تھنک ایک ہی میم حمیرا نے کوشچن کیا تھا اباؤٹ ایتھیکل اپروولس. سو بیسکلی وین وی وینٹ ٹو دا اسکولز اینڈ انسٹیٹیوشنس, تو جو پہلی چیز ہم لے کر گئے تھے ساتھ وہ اپروول فارمز ہی تھے. پہلے ہم بروشرز لے کر گئے تھے, پیمپلیٹس لے کر گئے تھے فار دا پیرنٹس, اور ہم نہیں چاہ رہے تھے کہ وداؤٹ پیرنٹل کنسنٹ ہم کوئی بھی چیز کریں, اسپیشلی ارلی ایجز کے بچوں کے لیے جو 5 to 9 والا ہے ٹیئر ہمارا. تو اس میں ہم نے پہلے پیرنٹل گائیڈ لائنس بنائی, ان کو اپنے پروجیکٹ کے بارے میں بتایا اباؤٹ ایوری تھنگ وٹ وی آر ٹرائنگ ٹو ڈو, اینڈ آفٹر وی گاٹ دیئر اپروول, تو ہم نے پھر اس کو امپلیمنٹ کیا ڈفرینٹ اسکولس میں. اور جو ہمارے فیزز تھے میتھڈالوجی کے، جس میں ہمارا پہلا فیز تھا انسٹیٹیوشنل انگیجمنٹ، وہ یہی تھا کہ پہلے ہم ایڈمنسٹریٹرس کے پاس گئے وین دے کنسینٹیڈ ٹو اٹ، تو پھر اس کے بعد ہم نے یہ کیا. اچھا، ایک اسٹانشنگ چیز یہ تھی کہ ہمیں، اسٹانشنگ تو نہیں کہہ سکتے، ہمیں پرائیویٹ سیکٹر سے اتنا زیادہ جو ہے نا اس چیز میں کوئی ہنڈرنس نہیں ملی، بلکہ کچھ جیسے آئی وانٹ نیم دا کیڈٹ کالج، بٹ ایک کیڈٹ کالج ہے مری میں، وہاں پر یہ تھا کہ دے ور آلریڈی ان ٹو دس کانسیپٹ. وہاں پہ چائلڈ سروسز پروٹیکشن کی ڈفرینٹ جو ہے نا آپ کہہ سکتے ہیں کہ ورک شاپس ہو رہی تھی. بلکہ جب ہم ان کے پاس اپنی ورک شیٹس لے کر گئے اور ریسورسز لے کر گئے تو انہوں نے ان کو بڑے ریڈیلی ایکسیپٹ کیا، بیکاز ہم نے جو ریسورسز آلریڈی بنائی ہوئی تھی اور ان کے پاس وہ ریسورسز نہیں تھی، تو انہوں نے بڑا اپریشیٹ کیا اس چیز کو. تو ادھر تو کوئی ایسا ہمیں جو ہے نا آپ کہہ سکتے ہیں ہنڈرنس نہیں ملی. گورنمنٹ انسٹیٹیوشنز میں کچھ ہنڈرنس اس سچویشن یا اس چیز سے آئی تھی کہ لیک آف ریسورسز کی وجہ سے، کیونکہ کچھ انسٹیٹیوشنز میں ہم نے جو ہے یہ وایا میل کیا تھا اور وہاں پہ ہمارے آر ایز موجود تھے اور ان کو ہم نے ہائر کیا کہ آپ یہ آگے جو ہے نا اس میں پروجیکٹ کو فردر لے کر جائیں. بہت سارے لاڑکانہ جیسے ہو گیا، کوئٹہ میں ہم گئے، کہوٹا والی سائڈ پہ، تو وہاں پر وہ یہ کہہ رہے تھے کہ ہمیں جب تک آپ مٹیریل پورا پرووائڈ نہیں کریں گے تب تک ہم نہیں کوئی امپلیمنٹیشن کریں گے. گیو اس مٹیریل، گیو اس ریسورس مٹیریل اینڈ ویل امپلیمنٹ اٹ. تو ایتھیکلی کسی نے ہمیں اتنا زیادہ جو ہے نا آپ کہہ سکتے ہیں کوئی آبسٹیکل کریٹ نہیں کیا. بس گورنمنٹ انسٹیٹیوشنز میں ایک ریسورس پروویژن کا ایشو تھا، اور ویسے یہ تھا کہ ہم اسکول پرمیشن لے کر ہی آگے ہم نے یہ امپلیمنٹ کی تھی چیز، اور پیرنٹس کو بھی لوپ میں رکھا تھا فار پیرنٹل اپروول. ایک اور چیز یہ تھی کہ ہمارا جو یہ کریکولم ہے اٹ از ڈیوائڈیڈ انٹو 3 ٹیئرز. 3 ٹیئرز میں ہم نے اسی لیے ڈیوائڈ کیا تھا کہ ہم ایج اپروپریٹ لینگویج یوز کریں فار ایچ اینڈ ایوری ٹیئر، فار 5 to 9 دین 10 to 13 اینڈ 14 to 18، کہ ہم کوئی بھی ایسی ورڈنگ نہ یوز کریں جو چھوٹے بچوں کے لیے جو ہے نا آؤٹ آف دا باکس ووکیبلری ہو یا ہماری کلچرل ویلیوز کے ساتھ وہ ایسوسیٹ نہ ہو. تو ڈویژن ہی کریکولم کی اسی بیسس پہ ہوئی تھی کہ ہم بڑا آبجیکٹیو لے کر، کلچرل ویلیوز لے کر، پاکستانی کانٹیکس کو لے کر جو ہے ہم کریکولم کو سیٹ کریں کہ وہ اس میں کوئی ایتھیکل ایشوز کریٹ نہ ہو. سو آئی ہوپ دس کلیریفائڈ the query that Ma'am Humaira had.
Thank you. Can we now move on to Dr. Ijaz Ahmed Saab, if he could briefly respond to the queries and comments.
Sure. Thank you, Jamali Saab. I'll start with Umaira Zia Sahiba's comment that unemployment has different reasons. بالکل ایسی ہے جی، unemployment کی بہت ساری وجوہات ہیں. ہم اس میں سے ایک کو ایڈریس کر رہے ہیں. اینڈ the starting point of our study is the marketable knowledge and skills, and whether they to what extent the higher education is marketable or employable. یہ بالکل ایسے ہی ہے, and we are focusing on only one component, and our report tells that. Representation کی جہاں بات ہے, بالکل when we started with this proposal, this was the first thing that we confronted as a challenge, that کون سے ڈسپلن کو کرنا ہے, بہت سارے ڈسپلنز ہیں, اور کس ایریا میں کرنا ہے. Having said this, or having acknowledging this limitation, جو یونیورسٹیز ہیں اسلام آباد کی, they have students from across the country, and جو امپلائرس ہیں اسلام آباد میں وہ بھی جو ہیں وہ کوئی صرف ایسا نہیں ہے کہ وہ صرف اسلام آباد کی یونیورسٹیز کو وہ دیتے ہیں جابس, اور کچھ اور جو آرگنائزیشنز ہیں, فار ایگزامپل ان لاہور اینڈ کراچی, they have their offices, even corporate organizations or corporates have offices in Islamabad. تو ہم نے کوشش کی that within the time constraint and within the resource constraint, جتنا ڈائیورس ہمارا پول ہو سکے, and that is coming thankfully in our data. Next question is, شراز صاحب نے پوچھا کہ جی advanced skills کیوں. So that's something which is obvious that every employer would prefer advanced skills, though there is heterogeneity in the data obviously. Next, جمالی صاحب کے جو comments ہیں, پہلا کہ do they believe, or how realistic the choices are, these experiments are, which are presented to the respondents, especially employers. تو جمالی صاحب اس میں جو لٹریچر ہے چوائس ایکسپیریمنٹ کا یا چوائس ماڈلنگ کا، تو اس فینومینا کو کہتے ہیں ہائپوتھیٹیکل بائس. تو یہ ایک آبویس کہہ لیں کہ کامنٹ ہوتا ہے ہر ایسی اسٹڈی پہ. تو وہ بیسیکلی یہ تو نون ہے سب کو دیٹ ہائپوتھیٹیکل بائس از ان دیز ایکسپیریمنٹس، بٹ ہاؤ an analyst or researcher is mitigating that bias. اس کو mitigate کرنے کے لیے جتنا نیئر ریئلسٹک ایکسپیریمنٹ ڈیزائن ہوتا ہے اتنا رسپونڈنٹ کو وہ اس مائنڈ سیٹ میں لے جاتا ہے. اور اس میں ایون ویژول ایڈ بھی یوز ہوتی ہے جو کہ ایک ریئلسٹک سچویشن کو کریٹ کرتی ہے. اور اس کو کرنے کے لیے ہم نے ایک تو فوکس گروپس اور ایکسپرٹ انٹرویوز کیے تھے، لوکل ڈیٹا یوز کیا تھا، اور پھر چوائس ایکسپیریمنٹ اسی وجہ سے ہی، اور ایکسپیریمنٹل ڈیزائن اوبیسلی جو ایفیشنسی اور میتھڈولوجیکل ایسپیکٹس ہیں ان کے لیے 2 یا 3 دفعہ پائلٹ ہوتا ہے. اور وہ پائلٹ کے جو ڈیٹا آتا ہے وہ ان لائک نارمل سمپل کوشچنر پائلٹ، وہ باقاعدہ اسٹیمیٹ ہوتا ہے، اور اس کے جو کوفیشنٹس ہیں یا جو پیرامیٹر اسٹیمیٹس ہیں ان کو انالائز کر کے دوبارہ نئے پائلٹ کو کریٹ کیا جاتا ہے بائی فیڈنگ دوز کوفیشنٹس. تو وہ نیئر ریئلسٹک ہوتا ہے. ان ایڈیشن ٹو دیٹ جو اس کا یہ تو ایک اوبیس کہہ لیں کہ ایک شارٹ کمنگ ہے اس میتھڈولوجیکل اپروچ کی، لیکن جو پاور ہے اس کی وہ بہت یوزفل ہے. یہ ہمیں ٹریڈ آفس کو انالائز کرنے میں ہیلپ کرتا ہے کہ فار ایگزامپل میں نے ایک لسٹ آف ایٹریبیوٹس جو ہے وہ پریزنٹ کیے، تو ان کے پھر ڈفرینٹ لیولز ہیں، تو کون کس چیز کو کتنا کس حد تک جو ہے ویلیو زیادہ یا کم کرتا ہے، وہ کمپیریزن. اینڈ دین ویلیویشن، چونکہ ایک مانیٹری ایٹریبیوٹ بھی ہم یوز کرتے ہیں اس میں، جو کہ اسٹوڈنٹ سروے میں فیس تھا، سیمسٹر فی، اور سیلری تھا امپلائر سروے. تو وہ ہمیں جو ہے ریلیٹیو ویلیویشن، مانیٹری ویلیویشن آف ایچ لیول آف ڈفرینٹ اسکل، وہ ہمیں ریویل کرتا ہے. اینڈ دیٹ گیوز اس لاٹ آف انفارمیشن which helps us make decisions about marketability of education, design of curriculum, and so on and so forth. اس کے بعد ہے نیکسٹ کامنٹ آپ کا ہے کہ ہاں، نیکسٹ کامنٹ آپ کا ہے کہ جی پرابلم سالونگ کیا پڑھائی جاتی ہے؟ بالکل نہیں پڑھائی جاتی. اور بھی کچھ اس طرح کی چیزیں میں نے ہائی لائٹ کی ہیں، جیسے کہ ایٹیٹیوڈنل کچھ ویریبلز ہیں، جیسے نیٹ ورکنگ ہے، جیسے مینرز اینڈ ایٹیکیٹ ہے، یا سوشل سکلز ہیں. یہ بھی جو ہیں ان کا بھی بڑا رول ہے امپلائمنٹ میں، اور یہ بھی نہیں پڑھائی جاتی. بٹ پرابلم سالونگ، انٹرسٹنگلی پرابلم سالونگ کوئی ایک ایسی چیز نہیں ہے جو صرف انجینئرنگ میں ہو سکے یا کسی بہت ٹیکنیکل ایریا میں ہو سکے. پرابلم سالونگ could be anything. It very much depends on instructors who design the curriculum and deliver the curriculum کہ وہ کس طریقے سے اس چیز کو امبیڈ کرتے ہیں. بٹ دس از ہائیلی ویلیوبل. میں صرف ایک چیز یہاں پہ شیئر کرنا چاہتا ہوں، دین آئی اینڈ مائی ڈسکشن، اور وہ یہ ہے کہ آئی کیم اکراس سم آف دا جاب ایڈورٹیزمنٹس. چونکہ میں یو کے میں ہوں تو یہاں پہ چیزیں یہاں کی اس نسبت سے دیکھتا رہتا ہوں. تو کچھ ایسے جاب ایڈورٹیزمنٹس میری نظر سے گزری ہیں، اسپیشلی وین آئی واز کنڈکٹنگ دس اسٹڈی یہاں پہ، تو جن میں یہ ایکسپلسٹلی مینشن کیا ہوا تھا کہ if an employee is being recruited، تو اس جاب ڈسکرپشن میں مینشن کیا ہوا ہے کہ if you have tried to start a business and you failed it and you had a startup failure, you are preferred in this job. We are looking for you. So that means کہ وہ جو ایک اسٹارٹ اپ فیلئر ہے دیٹ از آلسو کریڈینشیل. وجہ کیا ہے کہ اس ایک اسٹارٹ اپ کو بلڈ کرنے میں کوئی ان کی کمیونیکیشن اسکلز، کوئی ایڈمنسٹریٹو اسکلز، کوئی فائنینشیل اسکلز، کوئی پرابلم سالونگ اسکلز جو ہیں انہوں نے ڈپلوائے کی اور ایک اینٹی کو کھڑا کرنے کی انہوں نے کوشش کی. سو پرابلم سالونگ از ایکسٹریملی امپورٹنٹ. کچھ اور چیزیں ہیں جو اس اسٹڈی میں ہم اس طریقے سے انکارپوریٹ نہیں کر سکے، بٹ تھرو دس جرنی وہ ہمارے سامنے آئی ہیں. تو I can share those as well, but in the interest of time I'll confine myself to these comments. Thank you so much.
میم مفتی کا بھی ایک کمنٹ تھا کوئی کہ جب امپلائمنٹ جنریشن ہی نہیں ہو رہی اتنی ہمارے پاس اور گریجویٹس ٹرن آؤٹ ہو رہے ہیں، تو ڈز دیٹ آلسو افیکٹ دس ڈائنامک؟
Well, I tried to answer that. ہمارا جو فوکس ہے وہ یا جو اسکوپ ہے ہماری ریسرچ کا وہ بالکل اس پہ ہے کہ کیا جو لوگ ہم پروڈیوس کر رہے ہیں سادہ زبان میں کیا وہ اس قابل ہیں کہ وہ جاب سکیور کر سکیں. اور دوسری طرف اس کا جو سپلائی سائڈ ڈیمانڈ سائڈ پہ ہے کہ کیا ایکسپیکٹیشنز ہیں امپلائرس کی. تو دس اونلی گیوز ان آئیڈیا دیٹ واٹ the higher education institutions programs should look like and what their trainings should entail. باقی بہت ساری ریزنس ہیں انمپلائمنٹ کی اور یہ بالکل ٹھیک ہے بٹ our research only addresses that what are the employable skills from employer point of view and what are the skills and marketable knowledge which students seek کیونکہ اس میں اسٹوڈنٹس کی پریفرنسز کا بھی انالیسز ہے. تو دیز بوتھ سرویز کین گائیڈ دا academics and can guide higher education institutions in designing their programs so that the employability or marketability of their programs is could be enhanced. کیونکہ in many cases employers اور یہ پائڈ کا بھی اپنا ایک اس میں اوپینین ہے کہ in many cases employers look for the employees and they don't find good employees on the one hand. On the other hand, there are many young people who are unable to seek the job because they don't have those quality skills that employers are looking for. Thank you.
With those words, thank you very much, everyone. Are there any questions from anyone else in the audience other than the RAC members?
Happy to answer if there are any further questions.
جی ہم بالکل ابھی اور انگیج کریں گے ان تمام پریزنٹرز کو ابھی. تو دس از ناٹ دا اینڈ. جمالی صاحب آپ کے کنکلوڈنگ ورڈز کوئی ہیں تو کر لیں پھر میں کلوز کر دوں.
Sir, I'll defer to you, sir.
So we are now are going to close the day 1 of 6th RASTA PIDE conference. Thank you so much, everyone, all the REC members. If I see the participants are still 64. So there is, very good participation today. آج ہم نے inaugural session میں 130 cross کیا. میں خیال تھوڑی سی اور بہتر ڈسیمینیشن ہو جاتی ٹائملی تو یہ شاید ہم 200-300 بھی کراس کرتے. تو دس از گڈ. تھینک یو سو مچ جی. لیٹ می شو یو واٹس گوئنگ ٹو ہیپن ٹمورو. ٹمورو وی ول میٹ اگین ایٹ 3 PM اور ہم یہ آن لائن ہی کریں گے اور تمام زوم لنکس اور راستہ کی تمام ڈیٹیلز ویب سائٹ پہ موجود ہیں. ٹمورو دے ول بی a session on health and climate adoption and vulnerability at 3. And then uske baad we will have a very interesting PIDE showcase jiske andar we were going to present education policy and practice in Pakistan. تو یہ ایک post 18th amendment کے context میں PIDE نے اپنی ریسرچ ٹیم کے ذریعے 4 پروونسز کے ساتھ مل کے ایجوکیشن پالیسی کے اوپر اور پریکٹس کے اوپر یہ کام کیا ہے کمپلیٹ DDR کے اندر. سو دے آر گوئنگ ٹو پریزنٹ دس. ڈاکٹر احسان الحق ستی جو ہیں ہی از دا ٹیم لیڈ اینڈ دیئر ٹیم آر گوئنگ دے ول گوئنگ ٹو پریزنٹ دیئر مین فائنڈنگس. اس کے بعد جی وی ول ہیو another session at 7 which will be about climate risks and economic resilience. اس میں بھی 5 جو ہیں وہ پیپرز جو ہیں وہ کل پریزنٹ ہوں گے. So this is the program. So with this, I thank you all. And on behalf of the Vardi Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nadeem Javed, بہت سارا شکریہ آپ تمام لوگوں کا.